and welcome. I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations number 15. I'm here with Pop Culture Curator to review the Orville Season 3, Episode 1, Electric Sheep.
Finally, right?
Yeah, finally. Yeah, we've been reviewing this for 13 weeks. So we have sat here and reviewed every episode of the Orville from season 1 to 2. And today we're finally at season 3. We keep spoiling, we kept waiting for this day.
Right, and thank goodness they didn't extend the release date further, so we got it when it was promised.
Yes, I had lots of people saying that was going to happen. They extended it once, they're going to do it again.
Yep. Those rumors were flying, weren't they?
Yes. Um,
Thank you, Jill, and welcome everybody. It's so good to see you all.
yes, welcome to everybody in the chat. I don't know that my chat's been hopping this much before because I love seeing here. Hello in the chat to Gorella's Random Thoughts, Sandra Feliciano, um, and Raymond Feliciano, and we also have lots of great people here today, and there's Chris Bate and Hungry Boy, and hello in the chat to Pacific 411. Here we go.
Yeah, the place is hopping.
Yeah, yeah. There was a yeah. Well, I think they're just really interested in this episode. So let's see here.
There's a lot of interest. Have you noticed? I mean, which is a good thing. It's really trending, and there's a lot of people reviewing it. And it's getting some good reviews.
I'd love to see all the reviews on this. I like that there are so many videos out there and so many people who I follow and even people I don't follow that are talking about this episode.
Oh yes.
So, yes. I hope that continues throughout the season because if it does, then we're sure to get a season 4. If it's this exciting every week. So, we just got to keep it up and keep watching the best Star Trek we have today.
The only Star Trek we have today, yes.
Right, stand corrected there. And of course, other great channels, like you said, are producing Orville content. So please check out Orville Nation, Talking the Orville, the Nordporo Lifeform, Resolute Germ, and others. And if anybody out there, yeah, um, is making Orville content, I'll be sure to look out for you.
Yeah, I think Clobbering Times might have reviewed it as well.
Oh yeah, that's right, Clobbering Times. Oh yeah, right. Also there was Bird of Prey 5 had a stream on it. Also Dalek
Yes.
451 and Clobby.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
maybe I'll go ahead and put all the channels after I'm done here today.
and I know Doomcock released his.
Yes, absolutely. Overlord DVD. If you need to find him on YouTube, Doomcock has done a review. Yes, that was released yesterday. And this is a more serious episode of the Orville, isn't it?
Definitely more somber, not as lighthearted, which is follows along with my review.
Mm-hmm. And
I think Gorilla
hey
has a
everyone.
question for you.
Okay, hold on. I
Go
don't know
ahead.
what happened to my chats. My chats are going crazy here.
It's probably
I
something
can't
with
really get to the
YouTube.
bottom. I might have to refresh, but that might make me lose the chat. Okay. Oh, I'll just look at you. I'm just gonna look on the YouTube side. Hey Jill, did you see my chat about Friday? No, I didn't. I didn't see your chat about Friday. Oh wait, there it is. And the Charlie character showed huge guts re-screenwriting according to Hungry Boy. But what? And the Orville is Star Trek in the Witness Protection Program.
That's definitely true. Yes, I agree.
That's what Hungry Boy thinks. That's a brilliant assessment. And he also wants to give the episode an A plus plus plus.
That's completely acceptable.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't see your chat about Friday. If you want to tell me about Friday, you may. Um, we will be discussing if official canon really matters. I can give you my answer. For me, it does. But we're here today to talk about the Orville. But before we begin, we have a little bit of unfinished business from the last stream because we found out that we needed some descriptors for the uniform meanings, and we've discussed seasons 1 and 2, and we don't know the uniforms, so we are going to learn them right now.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, so the ranks. We know that these. This is easy. We already knew this because this is what we pay the most attention to is the ranks.
Well, and this is similar to like the Navy or the Air Force or something like that, right?
Right. And of
Right.
course, you're more of the military expert here, so you tell me.
Well, they follow all obviously like Star Trek when it comes to ranks, they follow along closer to the Navy, right?
Yes,
So it's
yes.
and
Star Trek has always been more Navy for sure.
right. And for me, I was Air Force, so that would be lieutenant. On the bottom there was his ensign, and they always called it a butter bar. Oh, you got your first butter bar, is what they would call it, because it was gold. But I know in the
Oh,
Orville
I
they're not
gotcha.
gold. Okay, right.
Okay, now that makes more sense. And and these are the badges. This is what each of them means,
Okay, so that does make sense. That's how we were theorizing last week.
right? So captain and first officer have the command badge, and anyone who has a commander, unless they're in engineering, medical, or defense.
Think
They're really simple. So
it does. Yeah, it
here we
makes
go.
sense. So it's not matching. It's not based on which ship they're on. It's based on their position. So yes, thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Of
And
course, the best part of the episode right there.
yes, absolutely. Yes, rest in peace to Norm MacDonald. We lost an extraordinary performer, comedian, and a wonderful person. So it's very important to me that this is the first frame we see. We're lucky we have him for the whole season.
Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet watching him this season.
hmm And difficult when we do get that season 4 and he's not
Right,
there.
right. The closer we get to the end, yeah.
hmm And um, this episode is called Electric Sheep. This episode first aired on June 1st, 2022, and also on June 2nd, depending on where you are. It was written by Seth MacFarlane and directed by him also, along with John Kaysar. The grand music in this episode was composed by Kevin Koska. It was filmed in 2019 and produced by 2020, and the editing continued. And
Wow,
Tom
3 years
Constantino,
production time, 2019 and 2022. That's 3 years they had to work on it.
yes, and from what I hear from Tom Constantino, he's still working on some of the episodes for season 3. So
That explains
so
how we were wondering how the ages of the kids were. They hadn't changed too dramatically in this episode.
that's right.
Yeah, this was filmed pre-pandemic.
Yes, that's correct. And we start to see some production photos on Twitter where they're showing when they were filming during the pandemic, and you see some of the cast or crew with masks on.
Yes, they take
Mhm.
them. What I've discovered, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but what they have the actors do is wear masks on the set, but then they take them off right before the camera runs, and then when they say cut, they put the mask on. Have you noticed that?
I don't I yeah, probably. I
Well, the
have.
reason why I bring it
I
up
haven't
is
really looked at it, but
Red
I get it. I
Red
get
Letter
it.
Media.
It's for
Well, Red Letter Media did a review of a movie. I can't remember what it was, but they did a review of a movie where you could see the actors had the lines from the masks when they were doing their scenes. They forgot to wipe the lines off their face. You know, the impressions from the strings.
oh. Oh yeah. No, I
Okay,
didn't see that video. That's funny.
It is. So that's how they're able to get past it apparently. Okay, go ahead.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's kind of funny. The title refers to the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which was adapted in the film Blade Runner by Ridley Scott, which makes sense aligning with the themes of this episode with Isaac's humanity and all. So So immediately we find out that these first shots here were released about 3 months ago. So these are the first few moments of this episode were released as a teaser months ago. So we can talk about this part before our spoiler warning, since everybody had 3 months to see that part already.
That's true.
And it opens with the Battle of Earth between Kalon against the Union, and and then the Krill joined the battle when they realized they needed a team effort against this major threat. And I have a little clip of that. Yeah,
Excellent production values. Yeah, it looks like something right out of a theatrical movie.
really it does. And Hunger Boy says the battle was mega harsh, frightening. And it was choreographed by David A. Goodman, I believe. Or was it Brandon Bragg? No, it was probably David Goodman. I forget who did it.
I
But
remember it was mega harsh and frightening because it was a nightmare. So it's kind of a hyper level of the actual battle of what really happened. Remember, the Orville didn't explode in reality, right? That was just part of the kid's nightmare.
right. Right. Well,
Right.
that wasn't the Orville in his dream. I don't know
Yeah, I
exactly.
remember he was running through the halls and the windows were exploding. People got sucked out. I remember all that. That was so. Yeah, it was kind of a part of that was yes, the war, but it was like hyper realized because it was a nightmare.
Right, exactly. And um the actual battle was written by Brandon Braga. So that I'm confirming that there. And yes, Marcus is in his nightmare, running through the hallway, dodging danger through the battle to get to his brother Ty. When we see Isaac, who in this nightmare turns evil, and Marcus sees him as a monster. And hello in the chat to Snortapoopus, Cuber. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you. And Marcus here is just showing off how he's a budding action star. And Hungry Boy says the battle was mega harsh. A PTSD nightmare, yes, but based on what we were told happened. And before we get into the spoiler part of our review, can you give me your spoiler-free thoughts about how you felt about this episode?
Well, it's like I have two perspectives divided right down the center. So as a fan of TV, science fiction, and everything, I'm right on the bus with everybody else. Like, woo, this is the best ever! Wow, 3 years, it was so worth it. Great graphics, special effects,
Yes, agreed.
action. It was not boring, not really boring. All that.
Mm-hmm.
That's if I forget all my military training. If I suppress my military training and I suspend disbelief through the whole episode, yes, it's absolutely perfect. If I remember my military training, it's not a very good episode. Unfortunately, it's very weak. But I don't want to ruin it. So it's
Okay,
middling
okay,
for me.
gotcha. Well, I agree partly I agree partly, but I still give it an A for me. But
Absolutely.
I'm jumping the gun there.
That's all right.
But um you told me you had mixed feelings about it, so I can't wait to go through it and talk to you about what you really mean there.
Gotcha.
And so we're going to if we're go we're going to talk more about this in our spoiler review because I don't want to warp anyone's perspective if you haven't seen it. So if you need to go see it, pause it and come back for the replay. And here we're going to start our spoiler part of the review. Okay. There was your spoiler warning.
Nice.
And 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 I'll work on that over
Hello,
time.
hello, hello, hi.
Yes, hello to the snort. It will be a long time before I can see the new season. I won't pay for streaming services. Spoil away. Okay,
Oh,
I'm spoiling.
ahoy, matey, ahoy. I'll just say that, all right? Mm.
Oh. So, um, we all suspected that it was Marcus's dream, and turns out that was true. Since Isaac has never been known to make that kind of face, we knew that,
Well, and the Orville wasn't destroyed, right?
right? And the the Orville premiered the night the Orville premiered. Um, I didn't get full resolution because so many people were watching it, so that was a good sign. So it was
Wow.
I had to wait a couple days before I could get my screenshots, so that was really fun.
Interesting. Are you talking about on a streaming service, right?
Yes, on Hulu, on
Oh,
my laptop anyway. I don't know.
interesting.
I don't know
Okay.
if that was the reason for that or not.
Oh, possibly. Who knows?
But anyway, we begin at the space dock, and the Orville refit is underway. And yeah, Lamar needs to run a systems check, so he has to shut down the astrometrics lab, which many see as Isaac's quarters. And that is who this episode is about. We learn about the fallout of the crew morale in the aftermath of the Kalon invasion, and that it's going much more poorly than the last half of season 2 would make you believe.
Well, it just seems, yeah, it's interesting because after the identity parts 1 and 2, they were pretty much past it. They moved beyond it, and for some reason, I don't know why they decided to go back and dwell on it. But who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, yes. Well, my guess for this is that the upper decks were misadvised as to the feelings of what the lower decks were going through. And I agree that it is a little bit weird to go back
Based
to the
on
mid
one
season.
person's opinion that you're not, well, that we know one person's opinion.
Um, but in a way, it was sort of unresolved. I do remember at the end of Identity, Claire was talking about forgiveness, and that was it. And
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're giving away too many spoilers, but it just seemed to me like everybody was fine on the ship. Nobody had a problem until the new crew member came on board and stirred things up. What it looked like to me.
hmm, well, we'll see. It, Hungry Boy says if you have a VPN, you could see it for free on the Aussie channel.
That's true.
Uh, and just pretend to be an Aussie. No VPN. I'll just put my tin hat on. So, even though Isaac did end up saving the Orville and betraying his own kind during the invasion, um, we have three main questions that we have to answer in order to see things from the perspective of the people in this episode. The first question I had was, when did he find out that his people committed genocide on the creators? Was it the entire time they were on the Orville? Or was that data uploaded to him when he returned to his home world?
I thought it was uploaded to when he turned his home world,
That's what
but
I
I
would
could be
want to
wrong.
believe. Yeah, me too. I would want to believe that. Um,
Because I know a lot of people
because
were debating in their reviews whether to blame Isaac if it was his fault for what he did, and I don't think it was. He had no control over it.
well, I definitely agree that he has less control over it because it's the primary who had control.
Right, and then he finally overrid the programming and took over and saved everyone.
Right.
But
But
I don't know.
before that, Kelly asks Isaac, "Were you ever going to share this chapter of your history?" And at this point, he doesn't deny anything or say anything here. So, that question is up for debate.
Well, if somebody asked, think about it. If you asked me that question, I would say, well, if I don't know that, how would that be a denial?
Um,
If
I
I
don't know.
knew it
Yeah,
and don't,
maybe he
if I
didn't want
knew,
to deny it in front of the other Kalon.
well, right. But what if I'm saying is what if I know it, but I'm just not telling you? That's a denial. But if I don't know, if I truly don't know, you would consider not telling you a denial as well, because you
But
don't know whether
if he
I'm
did,
telling the truth or not.
but if he did know, it was lying by omission.
True, it's possible. Well, I guess we'll never know, right? It's up to speculation. Possibly.
Yeah, right. And my second question is, oh, okay. Let's see here. Um, Hungry Boy says Isaac seemed like a reverse Benedict Arnold to me. Hmm. Number two, did the Kalon imprint him with the purpose for his research into human behavior? If yes, then everyone's anger towards him is logical. But it's I'm not sure if he only knew his objective or the reasoning behind the mission.
So
When
you're
he has
wondering if he knew the whole time what their intent and goal was,
yes,
and he just hid that from the crew of the Orville.
yes.
Okay,
What I found is that, as stated with his date with Claire, it seems like he didn't know anything except that when it is time, the Kalon primary will call, and
right. It just seems to me like from the Kalon perspective, they wouldn't have that in his memory bank just to so there wouldn't be they would nothing would be compromised. I just have a feeling that he was deactivated remotely, which they did, shut down. The crew brought him to the Kalon planet. They downloaded all the information, got everything they want to know about the humans, and then basically, then at that point is when they programmed him in attack mode and told him what was going on. But that's we're all just speculating, right? All this
yeah,
what we're
right.
talking about happened
It
off screen, pretty much.
right. All of this is speculation based on how you actually feel about about Isaac. You want to project, the benefit of the doubt
Well, I'm thinking about I do
for
like
him.
Isaac, but I'm trying to think about how the robots would look at it too, because they're on the offensive and not the defensive.
Right, because they're
And
ready to take over. They're ready to take over the galaxy. So
right,
they're
and if I
ready
was gonna
to.
right, if I was gonna slip a Trojan horse into an enemy camp, if I could have a Trojan horse that doesn't know that it's a Trojan horse, that's much more effective.
Yes, I believe that. I believe that too. That makes sense. Further evidence that he didn't know until identity is when he says goodbye to the children. He tells them to remember to, uh, you know, consume your daily requirements and obey your mother's commands. Why would he go through that little speech if he didn't expect them to live?
True, I completely agree
And
with that.
um,
It didn't make sense, but
but but the but unfortunately, there's evidence against this perspective. When he asks if when he states that, what was your objective all along? It's true we don't know when he learns this, but at some point he knows that it was not to initiate relations between our people. His true objective was to determine whether or not humans are worth preserving.
right, I thought it was
And
pretty much. Didn't he state that it was to study humans, right?
right, throughout season 1 and 2, that's what his claim was, that it was
Right.
just to study humans.
Yes.
but here in Identity, he seems to know the end goal, and is that the end goal of um, judging humanity and deciding whether or not they're allowed to live.
Right, but as far as we saw on screen, he didn't know that end goal until after he had been to Kalon and reprogrammed, right?
Right, right. That yeah, that those questions are, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit unanswered, a little bit vague, unclear, and I'd love to be able to talk to Seth and get those answers. Um, and Sorapoopus Q Burr says that he admits he's here to study humans.
Manchurian robot candidate.
Uh, yeah. And then here's the one that you and I discussed when we reviewed Identity. When we reviewed it, we discussed that Isaac could have chosen the Kalon side for part of the episode because he was trying to uh, time his betrayal to save the ship. But unfortunately, after watching this episode with the road not taken, there are hints that this isn't the case. Because without Into the Fold and Happy Refrain, we don't have Ty getting caught, which is the catalyst that turns Isaac against his kind.
True.
Um, so what exactly the Kalon did to his programming when they reactivated him, could have temporarily turned him against his crew um, until Ty brought him back. But as we said, we're really speculating on this. I don't know.
Well, one
I
thing's
don't
for
know for
certain.
sure.
Okay, imagine this. Okay, one thing's for certain. All right. After he went back to Kalon, they downloaded all the information and they learned everything about humans they wanted to learn, right? They
Mhm.
could have wiped his memory altogether, where he didn't even recognize who the Orville crew was, which would be more effective, right? The fact that they let him
Right.
keep his memories intact is what put them in danger. That was the Kalon's weakness. They should have done that. He used that against them.
Yeah, that's true. They really
They could have.
should. They really could have done that.
All they had to do is hit the reset button like he was a brand new Kalon, and there would have been no question, no problem, no conflict.
Well, they kind of want to do that, and they
But
even threaten him to do that, but they
yes,
don't.
they did threaten him. Yes, yes. But of course, they're not going. Script wise, we got to have you got to have that inner turmoil. So we can understand why they did it the way they did.
Right. And but the characters in this episode don't care about any of these questions. None of the reasoning matters when what's important to them is that their friends and family have died.
Well, you're talk. Well, that's it. Now I'll talk about that when we get there.
Well, I am there. For Charlie, um it's a little bit more akin to how I feel like this is a little bit how Cisco felt about Picard after Wolf 359. Cisco didn't think about how Picard was absolutely out of control when he was Locutus of Borg. All Cisco saw was the man who caused thousands of deaths. All he knew is that the actions of the Enterprise, and specifically its captain, led to his wife's death, and he had some reasons to be salty there. And Charlie sort of has even more of a reason because Isaac was someone, as far as we know, in control of his abilities, and that even though Isaac came around to the side of humanity, he still did assist the Kalon who killed others. So, this is Charlie's perspective that he's a murderer by proxy because um, he helped the Kalon on their quest for genocide.
Right, her mental instability severely puts this entire mission and crew at danger and at risk. She should not be in at her post. If she is suffering, because now these days, modern day 2022, we recognize PTSD and soldiers are treated. Now, either in the future they don't know what PTSD is, or they decide, oh, even though she got all these mental capabilities, sure, let's put her at her post. Something didn't
So,
quite jive, and
so you
it just
believe
seems like
that her pain and her anger uh, and it makes her unfit for duty.
Absolutely, because she's bringing it to her post and it's affecting her mission and her post. Okay. First of all, Isaac is not at the beginning of the episode. I don't think Isaac. This is my opinion. I don't think Isaac is contemplating suicide. This woman is like a mole. She comes in and she starts stirring crap up against him. When they come into this room, this senior is showing here. She is sitting at that table and she is talking about him, and they're all talking. She directed the conversation about Isaac. Isaac comes into the room, sits down. They all get up and walk away because she had been talking about him while he was gone. She comes back and sits down at the table and tells him, "I hate you, and everyone on the ship hates you." And this is the first time Isaac heard this directly to his face. As far as, by the way, this is a brand new crew member, and somehow she suddenly knows everyone's opinion on the ship, and they all agree with her apparently. So she tells Isaac, "I hate you. Everybody on the crew everybody on the ship hates you." Even though in real life we all know that's just her opinion, and we doubt that very much that the entire ship hates him. Otherwise, he would not be on there, and they would
Right.
not have lasted these missions afterwards. So I have to. I don't want to get too far. I have to jump ahead because this is what really sticks with me. Okay, she comes onto the ship. She's blaming everybody because she lost a friend. There's several people who lost families in that war, even more than what she did. She lost a friend.
Correct.
People lost families. They lost ships. But they moved on, and they're all still in command of their faculties, and they're still doing their jobs. She's the only one that decided to stop, make everything about herself, scream and get attention, and start stirring up conflict within the ship. And this is what I'm talking about my military side. This would never, ever last. And that's my problem. My military brain, because I served in the military, she would never have lasted. She's a mole that is just breeding discourse, and morale is destroying morale pretty much. So she tells Isaac, "I hate you. The whole ship hates you," even though that's not true. And then they show the son of the doctor telling Isaac, "I hate you." Cut. Isaac kills
Mm,
himself in that order.
right.
And then
That's what happens.
later, Mercer, of course, no discipline. Like I brought this up before. He's Captain Stubing. He's not Captain Mercer. There's no discipline no matter what people do. When when she tells him to shove it up his ass on the bridge when he gives her an order, he does nothing. He just says, "You're relieved of your duty." It's hard for me just to even describe this. There's no discipline whatsoever. She dresses him
I want.
down and embarrasses him in front of the crew. He does nothing about it. She goes back into this same bar or restaurant, whatever.
Mhm.
She's sitting there enjoying herself, having a drink. The son, who's regretting what he said to Isaac, I guess that happened off screen. They didn't tell us if he was still regretting or not. But the son goes and tells the same woman, which I'm calling, you'll see why. Anyway, the same woman, this blonde Charlie, by the way, of course she's named after a man, just like Burnham, whatever, Mikey Burnham, Spock, whatever. So anyway, she tells Isaac, "I hate you. The whole crew hates you." The doctor's son tells you, "I hate you." Isaac kills himself in that order. She gets relieved of her post, yes, but no discipline. She goes and she's drinking it up in the lounge. The kid comes to her and says, "I feel bad about what we said to Isaac. He killed himself because of us." And then what does she say? What did she say? The old Amber Heard statement. "Oh, well, if somebody kills themselves, it's not our fault. They
It's
were already
no, no.
thinking about it anyway."
She says it's nobody's fault.
Yeah, it's nobody's fault. He was already thinking about doing it anyway. Don't blame yourself. Not true.
She didn't say that he was
Typical.
already thinking about it anyway.
If you go back and listen, she said the reason why somebody is the problem is the writers are trying to equate this with modern day suicide, but we're talking about a futuristic robot. And she did tell the
Hmm.
kid that he had already been having doubts and having all these depressions and all these other things, and he decided on his own to kill himself. That what her and the son did had nothing to do with it, which is totally untrue. That's like Amber Heard driving someone to suicide and blame it on the victim. Well, they were going to kill themselves anyway. It was nothing I said. And that's what sticks with me the most. That's what it just, that's not acceptable at all. And not disciplined. And then the captain, I'm sorry, the captain, just everybody walk all over him. Oh my goodness. Like I said, he's Captain Stubing. This is the Love Boat. But I have to turn my military training off. As far as a sci-fi show, fantasy, sure, it was great. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's the entire review. I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Oh no, it's just that I had to explain because from I don't know, it's hard to explain without telling you at once because otherwise it's all going to sound out of context. It's just that the way they wrote her character, which I don't think they should wrote her that way because she very hateful and she made everything about herself. She was very selfish. I would have gotten her for mutiny.
Well, right. She
I mean,
didn't
I've got
realize anybody else exists
she didn't
until
care.
she
She
talks
didn't
to
care.
Marcus.
She didn't care. She knew that the
Marcus
Orville
is her turning point.
right, but she knew that the Orville and that there was people on there who suffered through the same war as everyone else. But no, she decided to be the one to make a scene out of it and sabotage her post, not do her job, and spread discourse and lack of morale throughout the ship. It's just that it's something that it's unheard of in a professional, even a job. If you were a civilian in a regular job, you'd have been fired for just a fraction of what she's doing in this episode.
Okay.
But
That was incredible.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
no, that was incredible,
And
and I really I
they
appreciate
stripped
your
and they,
opinions,
and
and
Gordon
I
is a
somewhat
character
agree
we've
too.
loved. Gordon's a character we love. And what did they do? They had to have somebody support her. So Gordon actually told her in the shuttle bay, "I'm with
Okay,
you."
so
And I'm like,
I have
"Oh,
reasoning for all of this,
go ahead."
uh, but
Sorry.
I have to go back to this point. I have to go all the way back.
Go ahead.
But Hungry Boy says not to dig too deep, but Charlie was like a Croat woman having to serve along the Serb from the 90s because she felt like she was working with, serving with her enemy. And I agree with Pop, but it made the script more compelling because these troublemakers do exist.
Right, but the system has checks and balances to where they don't get very far.
And Snorterpoopus Cuber says, I had a female boss tape many years ago named Charlie. She was a miserable person. I called her Chuckles the Clown. And most sci fi and a lot of fiction get their military stuff all wrong.
Well, the writers never served, not a single day in the military. That's why they don't know. Yeah, it shows.
And I dig, Hungry Boy digs the differing perspectives, and I appreciate Pop's viewpoint. And Charlie was a bit narcissistic in her attitude towards her superior officers. Sandra Feliciano says non military people don't understand the military way of doing things. Expecting the writers to write to military standards is not going to happen.
Well, it wouldn't hurt if they have military advisors. Just someone they can call on the
That's
phone, maybe.
true. They need to hire you, Pop Culture.
Well, I'm not even a
Dalek would.
professional, but they can. Anybody who's like I said served one day in the military can tell you all this. If you work, I'll give you an example. If I worked for the Internal Revenue Service, it'd be the same way. So it's not necessarily military. That's what I'm saying. Is no job would handle with it. That she's insubordination. It's like I can't think of any job that would. I could be working at the Burger King, and if you had an employee doing this, they'd be fired. But
And Dalek451 says, I get the feeling you didn't enjoy this episode, Pop Culture.
I did enjoy the episode. I did not enjoy Charlie. I'll be specific. That's what they do not understand. I like the special effects. I like the episode. I like to see the whole cast come back. I love the Orville. I didn't like the way they introduced the character and the way she was written. There's my specifics.
Oh, sorry. Something started here with Snorterpoopus.
Pork
There's
chuckles.
Team Chuckles.
Chuckles.
Snorterpoopus inspired Hungry Boy. And Sandra says many of them won't listen. And Gorilla's random thoughts believes what I believe here that they're setting up Charlie for something.
I don't know. It made it look like a redemption at the end of the episode. We don't want to get there yet, though. But
Yeah. Let's save that one. You did the entire episode. It was great. I enjoyed it very much. So
no, I
don't be
didn't want
sorry
to.
about it.
Ah,
I
sorry.
you know what? You had to get that out, and I am glad that you did. They always get the comics industry wrong too. Dreadfully so.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
So if you need to interrupt me anytime, just let me know here.
Oh no, not at all.
Because it's not easy for me to see Isaac being shunned, despite um
Well, no, because after the Identity Parts 1 and 2, everybody was fine with them. They were acting like buddy buddy, even Gordon. So that's why I didn't agree with the scene that comes up later. But go ahead.
yeah. Um, but you know, they get up from the table, and all of them just leave him there. Which happens a lot of times in middle school and high school and
By
stuff.
the bullies, right? When the
Yeah,
kid who's being bullied sits down, all the people that are teasing him, bullying, get up to do that. It's a psychological thing,
right.
right?
But usually they haven't led a race of genocidal AI to annihilate planet
Well,
Earth,
but
so
you
it
got to
is
remember
a little
though.
bit different.
But wait a minute. This wasn't just some random table. This is a table that Charlie had been sitting at talking to everybody. Remember that?
Hmm. And Charlie and everyone who's angry with Isaac are also very scared that he has the capacity to turn on them again. While those questions that I had asked earlier are important to you and me, it makes no difference to her. Isaac never went through Union Point, and to her, he isn't an officer. Even though he became a member of the crew and a part of the family and part of the order, I could under, I can understand why some of the crew can see him as the enemy. Even though he saved everyone in the end, there is that chance that he could be a danger. Um, because it's a commentary. This is a commentary on the classic sci-fi theme of man versus machine, and it's that complexity that I think makes this episode great. And Sandra says she was a bit self-important. Girl is random dot says not every job is like that. I call my boss an asshole at least 3 times a day.
Where can I apply?
Snortpoopus Cuber says, speaking of picking of nits, one thing Star Trek did all the time that bugged me was having commanding officers holding the rank of captain, regardless of the size of ship.
No, I think you're referring to like when Spock was promoted to captain, and then you have Captain and Captain Kirk because Captain was demoted. There's a reason for that. Spock did not want to be in command. He stayed ever since the original series, even though he was promoted to captain. He did not want to be physical captain of the ship. And the only reason why Kirk was a captain was because he's demoted from admiral to be a captain of his ship. So I know that's why you had two captains aboard the Enterprise.
Yeah. But when Captain Kirk takes over in the motion picture, Commander Decker loses his captain
So he's
rank.
still captain rank, but his position has changed, right? He's
Right.
now science officer, but he's still a captain, but captain.
Yes, but he's not called captain for the duration of that mission.
Well, because he's not in charge, right?
Right. Okay.
But if you remember in the
And
Star Trek movies, they did call Spock Captain Spock.
that's true. Then Dalek says, I thought this episode was really good, but yeah, it was not perfect and not what I was expecting for a season opener. It felt to me like it should have been from season 2.
And maybe right after Identity, part one and two.
And Hungry Boy says, great point, Jill. The constant will he do it again would be difficult. And so, even though I'm on the side of Isaac too, I'm trying to see things from the perspective of Charlie and the others who are feel this anger and fear from Isaac.
What the others think, remember, what the others think is based on what she tells Isaac. We don't know if it's true. And like I said, she was stirring discourse. She was sitting with all of them before he came in the room. So she was talking about him behind his back. And he's the commanding officer. He doesn't he outrank her?
Um,
Does he have a rank?
I don't know. That's a good question.
He doesn't wear a badge, so maybe not. Maybe he's considered like
Right.
a equipment.
I'm pretty sure that they know he's a sentient being, but he's a chief science officer. But I don't really know if he has a rank. Because since he's not a member of the union.
Possibly.
Let me see. No, I don't see a rank here. Yeah, he doesn't have a rank because he's a emissary. That's his rank.
I know that in the military, I just imagine myself in this setting that we're all sitting around in the lunchroom and we're sitting around And as soon as somebody starts talking about it, somebody on another ship, or I mean, as soon as someone starts talking negative about someone else on the ship, everyone will stop and turn and look at that person like, "What are you doing? Are you a coward?" If you have a problem, you either take it to command or you take it to that person directly. They wouldn't sit there and let him
Oh,
just, hey,
that's
did you
right.
hear about this and hear about that like it's high school?
That's
This is
right.
more like
Yeah,
high
that
school.
that did bother me that they didn't confront him directly, but Charlie does sort of confront him.
Well, remember, this is treated more like a high school surrounding.
Um, for for a time, Isaac does go against the Orville during the attack. So, and we do see what happens when Isaac does become a full villain in the parallel universe, the road not taken. So we know that the potentiality of that was there.
But he still had blue dots, right? And blue lights.
Yes.
That's all
And
that's important.
yes, and Ensign Charlie Burke also tells Isaac that she served on the Quimby, which Isaac recognizes was destroyed. Even though he was deactivated, he accessed all of the information about the battle from the ship's database. And Charlie tells Isaac how she lost her best friend, Amanda. And she lost her because of an issue that had to do with the doors not shutting to the escape pod. And I'm unsure why they constructed it so that the manual controls had to be on the outside. I like to believe that it wasn't just a dramatic decision, so I'm sure there's a technical reason that those controls are out there.
Possibly a
And
plot device. Yeah, I agree. On the outside, yeah.
yeah, hello in the chat to J25. And there was Captain Scott. And Snortopoopas Cuber says, in the Navy, a lieutenant commander commanding a ship is referred to by the courtesy title of captain, but his rank is still lieutenant commander. I'll be quiet now before I get my snoot slapped. I'm not snapping any snoots. Or slapping, rather. I'll leave the slapping to Nurse Chapel from Strange New Worlds. Gorilla's random thought says, he has no rank. He is just an envoy for the Kalen, and now just a crewman since the war. And Snortopoopa says, an aircraft carrier can have 3 or 4 officers with the rank of captain, but only one is the captain. There are 4 blue lights.
And I know someone said back there that there was a Captain Scott. Wasn't that from Relics, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, right. Yeah. Scotty. Yeah, by then it makes sense that he'd be a captain by then, right?
Yes.
So even worse than what we just saw was the next scene, of course.
Look at that look on her face. Can you go back? Look
Okay,
how
her
much she's
pancakes.
enjoying what she's saying to him. Look at that. Look at that.
But actually,
Uh
at this point, she's just talking about how she likes those pancakes.
huh. Okay, go ahead.
She just likes plain pancakes with butter.
I don't know. I think she's sadistic, but it's an opinion.
Well, just butter with your pancakes is also masochistic. So there was a flashback with her best friend, and um, when they had
Oh
to.
yeah. Fortunately, thank God she wasn't as good looking, huh?
Oh, that's a little rude, but all right.
It's no. It's just part of the plot contrivance. It's an old trope. It's okay. Nothing sexist. It's an old trope.
No, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's usually the inferior one that dies.
Mm. Okay, so at least we see here Tala. You can very clearly see she does not like what she's hearing. And even worse than the harsh words is the graffiti that Isaac finds in the astrometrics lab,
And
which
they have no record. Nobody knows who did it. There's no camera security. Interestingly enough.
right, because those systems went down because they were doing testing for the refit, or they were turning things off for the refit, and something like
Okay.
that was an excuse.
Who knows, right?
Well, they do say it. They say
well,
exactly why.
well, I would have
It
minimum
just
checked her
it was just
fingerprints.
a it was convenient timing.
Yeah, I would
Um,
have. I'm sure you can scan it and get fingerprints, but oh well. Huh?
they don't mention if they checked for fingerprints or not.
No,
I
they
don't
don't.
think.
No, yeah,
Um,
that would be too modern day, I guess.
yeah, you never know. Sometimes their uh, their advanced technology makes them miss some analog solutions.
Also, plot wise, they're not going to suddenly solve the who done it right now, so I can give them that, right? Because it's kind of like a who
Yeah,
done it, but a short who done it, like
yeah,
who they're wondering who did
and
it.
it's also supposed to show that there are more people
Well, I
who
knew
have
immediately when
problems
I
with
saw
Isaac.
this. I knew when I saw this immediately. It was only one of two people. I'm sure most because
Hmm.
that's the only people have a problem. But okay, let's continue.
Um, Also, yeah, continue. Look at the new opening credits.
Wow, we haven't even gotten to the credits yet.
Yeah, yeah, right. Here's the credits.
Look at that brand new shuttle. The ship has been
Some pretty
redesigned.
pretty
Oh,
stuff here.
the Orville's got more plates on it. Looks like maybe more armor.
Yes.
I wanted to bring up too how lucky we are that even though unfortunately Disney bought Fox, we're so lucky and blessed the fact that this is on Hulu and not on Disney Plus because it could be a whole different story if it was on Disney Plus, right?
Um.
Or-
wh- What do you think? Well, yeah.
I'm just
Hopefully it wouldn't,
based
but
on what
yeah,
I've
that would be
seen.
terrible.
Well, I'm saying based on what I've seen of their handling of Star Wars and Marvel, I'm glad this is not part of that.
Yes, I definitely don't want them in control of this at all. Seth needs to
Right.
keep control for
That's
sure.
what I'm saying is keep it away from Disney Plus, right?
Yes, agreed. So we start with some crewmen in spacesuits working on the ship, and I like this little drone that they have that comes take care of the plating. I like little machines that help. That's why one of my favorite episodes in TNG is the episode with the exocomps.
And that's why you like batteries not included, right?
Yes, also I love batteries not included. So first on the bridge, Commander Grayson is in the engineering progress on the refit. Um, and teases us with Gordon taking Lamar out to drink. It would have been really cool to have a scene like that because I miss those two being together as friends. They have great chemistry.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see more of it in this upcoming season.
Oh yeah, I
Once they get this heavy stuff out of the way, they'll have. I know like Doomcock was saying that he thinks that this show is now turned to the more dramatic side, but I think they're still going to go back to the comedy. I
I
don't think
think
they've
so
given
too.
up completely. Yeah, I could be wrong, but
I,
that's just speculation.
well, that's a hint that just her saying that is a hint that they're going to do that. And Tala calls Captain Mercer and Commander Grayson to the astrometrics lab to discuss the mystery. She's tracked down the replicated paint, but more importantly, about in this scene, she doesn't solve that mystery yet, but she does report Ensign Burke's nasty words to Isaac in the mess hall. So they're finally addressed, and it seems almost to be kind of a shock to Captain Mercer
Right,
that
because
Isaac.
he would have been the first one to know if there was discourse among the ranks. But here's where he's finally for the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, but somehow Isaac admits that this type of interaction is frequent.
Well, he's speaking of what happened in the lunchroom, right?
Yeah. But he says that he's kind of insinuating that this happens a lot. For the second
That's what
time,
you know.
Isaac.
That's one thing I wish they would have showed that, just so that I
Mhm.
know I'm wrong. Because I just looks to me like Charlie's Ullman stirring stuff. I wish they would, if it was true that other inmates or I'm sorry, other crew members had problems. I wish they would have
Inmates.
had a little more. I, I wish they would.
That's because you want Charlie to be one.
Right. That's where she deserved to be. Now look at this picture. She deserves to be in the brig. I'm thinking. But
Yeah, I can tell.
it, yeah. I'm sorry. It just if I was in the military, nobody would want to work with her. Nobody would want them to be in their troop or their platoon. You would not. I couldn't trust. Would you want someone like that fighting alongside you in a war? No. Think about it. If you were in a pit or in a barricade somewhere, and the enemy's on the other side, and it's only you and your partner, the other soldier fighting side by side, and each of you have the other lives in their hands. Would you trust someone like her standing next to you? I would not. Never. She'd shoot me in the head and take my gun just so she'd have two.
I'm not sure that I agree with that opinion of her character, but I
well,
certainly
well, it's a,
respect your
it's a little
opinion.
exaggerated and out there, right? I know they didn't show that. It all happened off screen, people.
She did that.
Right. But I got
Okay.
over it. I'm okay now.
All right. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I kind of not, but okay. um, but it is clear that Isaac. I'm not saying that Isaac has emotions, but his programming is altered due to his social interactions.
I think it's evolving.
Yeah, and if positive bonding with the Finn family can get him to betray his kind and save Earth, then negative shunning and bullying could have a similarly negative effect on his programming.
Yes.
He is processing humanity in his own unique way.
Right. I'm not faulting that part.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it was introduced is all. Now this is where I want to make this clear. This is where the captain calls her into the quarters so she can straighten him out. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, but at least in this scene, is a she gives the pretense to say that she asks for permission to speak freely,
But yeah,
which I get
before
is
he says anything, right? In any normal situation, the boss would say, "I'll talk first. You can speak after." But she took over the conversation as soon as you walked in the door. Permission to speak
yeah.
freely, and then she just went on. And as she's talking, they're looking at each other, nodding their head and agreeing, which is no, 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 no. She totally controlled this whole conversation. And these are her
Well, but
supposedly superior officers, but oh well.
right, as hard as it is to hear it, we get more indication from Charlie that she isn't the only one who feels like this.
According to her, I would after her boss
Right.
would say, "Who else?"
Right.
He goes, "Tell me." He goes, "Who else is having these problems?" Because if there's a problems aboard the ship and people are having problems, I need to know about this. We need to have it taken care of. Is what I would say, right?
That's true. Well, that's sort of what Commander Gration says at the end, that we're going to have
No,
to deal with
right.
this
That's the
morale
problem.
issue.
That's the problem. Everything they were supposed to say at the beginning, they waited till the end to say, right?
Hmm. Um, yeah.
Even if the
It
captain didn't speak up here, she, as second officer or first officer, should speak up and say, "You don't talk to the captain that way."
Well, we do get a small level of support from Kelly when she reminds Charlie that Isaac ended up saving Earth and the end.
She should have said, "You lost a friend. We know people who lost families. We lost crew members."
That's because that's saved for Ed at the end.
It should have been said at the beginning in this meeting right here, right now when he's looking up here is when he said that to her. Is when he should have said that to her.
Yeah.
If you have problems with Isaac, you should have brought them to me first. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
about you stirring discourse down in the lunchroom or anywhere else on this ship. Is what I. But I'll remove my military
That
side.
makes sense. No, no, don't remove it. I like hearing it. Say it
It's
every
just
time, even if
he
you're
just
repeating
lets
yourself. I want to hear it again.
he just lets people tell him what to do. He's not. I would not serve under him if this was real life. And that was the captain of my ship. I would ask to be transferred. I could not trust a man like that who was easily controlled and manipulated by other people. That's not
Well,
strong. He's not a strong commanding
well,
officer.
maybe he does agree with her, though. It seems here that she clarifies that people are not only angry but frightened that Isaac could turn on the crew again,
Right. She's
which
worried about
isn't
herself.
exactly it isn't exactly an invalid feeling.
Well, no, I'm not
But
saying it's
when
invalid. I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm just saying is that She should have and needs to deal with that in her own time, not when she's at work. And he's got to consider the mission and the crew ahead of whatever her feelings are. Simple as that,
Right.
right?
He does mention he doesn't have any sort of defense except for that Isaac could be helpful
I don't know. It
in
just seemed like
defeating
there's
the
so many
Kaler.
things he could have said right here and just to stop this, but it's for plot reasons. I know that you have to let it advance.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows that having Isaac on our side would be helpful. But yeah, I definitely understand your perspective there.
And
I
she
do
just looked.
think it could be
She
a
looked
little
just like
stronger.
Amber Heard in the courtroom, just like Amber Heard in the courtroom, even the same hair.
Okay, so for some much needed levity, we do some we do some fun engineering work here, which I won't describe to you to give you more reason to go see these scenes. We get Yaphet in a spacesuit.
Oh, and I wanted to ask: did they mention if they have magnetic boots?
They definitely have magnetic boots. If you look at their boots, they definitely look like they're magnetic.
Okay, good. I was watching
But
Major Grin's video of Strange New Worlds. I guess they're walking on the outside of the Enterprise with no magnetic boots, of course.
yeah, and supposedly there's some kind of force field that's covering some
Yes.
section of the top of the hull
Yeah,
somehow.
a little
And
bubble.
they're
Yeah,
just
it's so convenient,
uh I
and I
thought I
like
was
it.
watching like
What's that?
I love the animated series
Oh, me
of
too. I'm gonna do
Star
a
Trek,
watch party. I'm gonna start
but
doing a watch party of it.
but
I'm
I thought
talking to
I was
Gorilla about that.
watching the anime. I thought I was watching the animated series, and I was like, "Wait a minute, where's the little glow around them to show that they're
Yes,
in their own little
yes,
force fields?"
yes.
And no, the force field was around the whole hull. So I was like, "Wait, how does that work?" They don't tell you.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love it. I was on Gorilla Random Thoughts channel yesterday. We were talking about the animated series. I'm gonna start watching and do a watch party of it.
Hmm. Yeah, so when the animated series makes more sense, there's something really wrong
Right,
there.
the animated series written 50 years ago, right?
Hmm. So yeah,
And we get to see Yaphet.
Yaphet and we always see the most interesting aliens working for engineering too.
I guess, or as long as they can fit in the suit, right? I'm sure there's
Yeah,
some
right.
aliens that cannot.
That's the only right. You won't see Unk on outside.
Right? Is that his name? I was wondering. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we'll see him later in this episode.
Yes. And there's their new little fighter.
Yeah, Gordon, the new fighter class vessel called the Pterodon, which is an offensive ship built specifically because the Kalon threat.
Well,
As
and
we
because
see,
more budget. It's like we're all looking at all these new shiny toys, right?
yeah. Give me just a second here.
Go for it.
Oh, actually,
But as you can see there's that new shuttle, which is
it's
very cool.
an Amber Alert. Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
don't you think it's a bit much of don't you think you're being a bit much of a realist, Pop? And please stop comparing this to the herd thing.
That's why I said I'll turn out the military opinion, all right?
Well, you can keep the military on, but the herd off. I like the military part.
It's just a
Who's
narcissism, and I don't know,
who's
a sociopath. I'm just not into sociopaths.
I I don't know. I don't necessarily agree she's a sociopath. I think she is projecting her hate too much to be professional. It's not professional to be that negative about someone who is supposed to be serving alongside you.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like it can
I think
endanger
I
the
get
mission and
that.
the crew.
Yes, I agree there.
I'm excited for
So
the
that
next
she can
Orville.
have different attitude. But I can also see her perspective from where she's coming from. Hello in the chat to the Nerdporial Lifeform. I rewatched this episode and loved it even more the second time. I watched this episode 3 times. New Trek and Disney Star Wars had the opposite effect on me.
Oh yeah.
Gorilla
No.
Gorilla the Random Thought says it was stupid how they did training flying around the space dock. Oh yeah, we're
Yes,
gonna get
that
to that.
was.
We're gonna get to that right here.
Yeah, I definitely. I agree,
I'll be
Gorilla.
I'll be right back. Just a second. I need to do something. I need to
Go
go
for it.
check on my child, and I will make sure she's okay, and I'll be back
Well,
in a moment.
that's understandable. Things like that do happen and are necessary. But I apologize, guys. I'm not trying to be too harsh. I just it would have been nice if they, like I said, at a minimum, have a little military advisor just to kind of soften the edges, is all. Kind of lube it up. I prefer Charlie over Ulan. I'm not sure who Ulan is. Now, when I know she's going to end up reading these again, but when Mercer acts more like a captain than Anson mounts Pike, I'm not going to argue that. I'm sure he does. Anson Pike, whatever his name is, Pike is like a super beta male. So, I mean, way the bouffant hairdo, the mannerisms. Yeah, right. I completely agree with you. And by the way, I do not watch Strange New Worlds. I watch the reviews. That's all. Just like with Bird of Prey 5, I'm not going to watch Discovery or any of those stuff. I'll just listen to the reviews. Much more entertaining than watching the shows themselves, anyway. And besides, these guys need the clicks and the subs. Yeah, I agree. We're talking. I wish I could change these to where I could show these chats on the screen, but I know Nerdporial says hello to Snortopoopas and Gorilla. Snortopoopas says hello back to Nerdporial. Nerdporial says New Trek needs it more than the Orville when it comes to understanding chain of command. That is true. They do the same thing there. They're constantly disrespecting everyone around them, even swearing in front of them. Rules random thoughts. Alan is from SNW. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure who that is because, like I said, I don't watch SNW. SNW's
That's very
Lon
good
isn't.
that you don't watch that.
Yeah, enough stress in my life, right? I mean,
Right.
if these little things of the Orville are going making me go off my rocker, I can imagine what
Oh
SNW
no,
would
you
do.
wouldn't be able to watch 5 seconds of 30 seconds of Strange New Worlds would just
That's what I
have you
told. Right?
going.
Remember the first episode I told you? I got about 30 seconds into it. I couldn't go.
Yeah, and this is just one officer. This is the on that show. It's pretty much all of them.
Why, when you say Lana's an angry female character, aren't you talking about every character on that show?
One way or another, they're all that way, or worse, way worse than way
Well,
worse
from
than
the
Charlie.
reviews I've seen and the clips, all I see is people shouting at each other. But oh well.
Or saying something snarky and disrespectful.
Yes.
But I'm not here for that. Um,
No, we're here for positive, fun things.
right. Dave Cullen actually liked the last couple. I really like Dave Cullen, so that's kind of throwing me for a loop. But anyway, I hope Pop ain't a Doctor Who fan for his
No,
health.
not familiar with it. I haven't watched it. I'm aware of it. I used to go back to I used to go to Star Trek conventions back in the day, and there was a huge population of Doctor Who fans there. I won. They used to have trivia contests, and I was really good at them. And they had a trivia contest at a convention in San Francisco, and I was like winning every prize. They were, every question they have, I was answering every question. And I won one of the prizes. I went up to the stage to retrieve my prize, and it was a Doctor Who comic book. And I was like, "Oh, come on, guys! I don't watch this garbage. Don't you have something from Star Trek?" Sorry, Doctor Who fans, don't throw the tomatoes at me. Sorry, this was a long time ago. I was young and stupid.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just barely getting into Doctor Who myself, but we'll get back to that later once I know more.
I'm gonna start watching it. I need to get exposed to it.
Yep, me too. That reminds me when I went to the Star Trek convention and got a free autograph, but then it was of the Traveler. I was like, oh,
From TNG.
yeah.
Oh, well,
I
it's
don't
better than
really
nothing,
like the
huh?
Traveler.
Oh,
Yeah,
you don't?
yeah,
Oh,
it's very
okay. Oh,
goofy.
I understand. That'd be like me getting a signature from the guy in the Apple or one of those, right? One of the hippies. Be like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, right. Exactly,
Or the
exactly
way to
like that.
Eden, all right, the guy in the way to Eden with the curly blonde hair. I'd be like, no, thanks.
So As we see this new pterodon, um, we also see the new shuttle, and we get a big surprise that we're not expecting here. Um, when
Yeah,
Gordon
the
agrees with
scene I did
Charlie,
not like. Yeah, I did not like this. They tore down Gordon's character to support hers, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
but there's evidence for this kind of attitude because before they activate Isaac, Gordon says, "Yeah, but the only reason he had to save us is because he screwed us in the first place."
I know, but I'm
So
thinking about how Gordon and him are getting along after Identity Part Two at the end of season two.
yes, but here
All
he
that.
says that he was keeping it to himself the whole time.
Well,
He
what you
was
got to remember now, they changed his character for this script for her
when
character.
well, not necessarily because he says that he kept it to himself, that he didn't make it public, that
Well,
he
no, that
kept
may
up
be
appearances.
possible. It's just that now it. I don't. Me
But
personally,
that
I feel
shows
less about
that
Gordon because I thought Gordon
I
was a
don't think
friend.
I don't think that that hurts Gordon because it allows him to have these feelings that I've shown were kind of valid, but at the same time, not. He doesn't, unlike Charlie, he doesn't let it affect his performance, his
Nope.
professionalism. He
Correct.
doesn't carry around the hate and express it everywhere.
And
He
especially talk to
continues.
right, and talk to everybody he meets about it. Right, brings it up in every
Yeah,
conversation. Right.
he continues to do his duty, and he accepts Captain Ed
Orders.
Mercer's decision,
Right.
his
Right.
orders,
Which
and
is what you do. Right.
yeah, even if he feels exactly like Charlie, he doesn't let that change anything the way
Which
he acts.
which is the way it should be. Right. He nips it in the
Right,
bud, as they say.
right. But Charlie gives him the advice to be angry instead.
It's okay to be masochistic, she says. Thank
Yeah,
you,
right.
Amber.
Listen
Thank you,
to the
Amber.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the different perspectives, and I think that Gordon carries it in a better way than she does.
Yes, a more professional, more believable way. Yes. Well, and he doesn't
It's
make it about himself. I want to clarify that as well.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, you got a shot at the actual moment. Here's where we got an upgrade, right? Because last week we were laughing about the blue rings, right? Isn't this the same area?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it
We were
was
talking
just
about the blue,
rings.
right? Right, they're
They
just rings, and we
upgraded
were
it.
laughing. Right, we were laughing how well something exciting is happening when the blue rings are flashing, right?
Yes,
So now,
exactly. We were talking
right
about that.
now it looks like there's a kind of like well, it reminds me of the beryllium sphere from Galaxy Quest. So I'm guessing this is where they're getting their power from. I think Jill may be blowing her nose, so she'll be right back.
Oh,
But
right. Okay, so this is yeah, you're right. But it's not helping anyway, so whatever.
oh, well, sorry to
Um
hear that.
but you're right because the I feel like there's a similarity between the quantum accelerator and the quantum engine. So it's interesting that they're kind of that looks like the thing from Galaxy Quest you're saying.
Yes, beryllium sphere,
Because it might have an effect on time.
possible.
Um, Okay. Oh, and Nerd Pearl Lifeform has some Doctor Who Blu-ray sets.
Very cool.
Hungry Boy thinks 60s Who is the best. I know everybody tells me to watch
Just like
uh,
60s Trek, I'm not surprised.
right.
Believe me, that sounds about right.
Tom Baker. That's who everybody wants me to watch.
Okay.
And Nerdpoil says the Traveler and Gary Seven are connected now, according to according to Star Trek Patrick Stewart.
Is that considered canon? I don't know.
No, I mean in their own silly alternate universe, sure. That doesn't connect at all with the real Star Trek. And Doc451 says, unfortunately, modern depictions of female characters are always ugly, either physically, being. Okay, I'm not
Dalek,
going to
that's
read all
called
of it.
representation. Oh, shut tisk tisk.
Okay, more of the filth being discussed here. Where are the beautiful and happy women? She says, "Stay angry, thinking of someone with the first name Doom." Doomcock. Seth MacFarlane actually follows Doomcock and Neurotic on Twitter, to my surprise. Gordon was not present at the memorial service. Right, he wasn't. Dog451 saw a room full of happy women the other day. Oh, Sort of Poopus saw a room full of happy women the other day. I had just left the room. Oh, come on, Sort of Poopus. Don't do that to yourself. Don't look into the light. The beryllium sphere is atomic number 4 on the periodic table, says the corporeal life form. So, what we see here is the engine room, and Ensign Turco is now a lieutenant.
And by the way, I wanted to point out, Isaac looks better. You notice how he's got even his suit has an upgrade.
Yes, they upgraded his suit,
Yep.
which is how I knew when I started this episode that he wasn't that he wasn't going away.
No.
You know. I love this scene because we finally get to see someone not be mean to Isaac. So Ensign Turco is
Yes, I
behaving
appreciated it too.
professionally.
Thank you. Which proves my point. Not everybody hates him like she told him.
Yeah, right.
Right, which is the reality of it all. Right.
I think most of the engineering crew are on Isaac's side for sure because they're next to him all the time. Also relieving are when Dr. Finn and Ty check to see how Isaac is faring after his character is attacked. And then Ty says,
"How are you doing?"
I am functioning within normal parameters.
Isaac, I don't think you're a murderer.
I thank you for your compliment.
so
Well,
they perform.
because from my perspective, I could be wrong, but her kids did not go through all that trauma during the war. They were protected pretty much the whole time. But who knows? Maybe off camera that we didn't see.
Well, I think the nightmare was just that. It was a nightmare. Right. And there could have been things we didn't see, but the only time Ty was in danger, Ty was in more danger than Marcus being kidnapped.
Well, I know, and I thought it was just a nightmare too. It's just that I know on some of the reviews on some of the channels, they were saying that the son had PTSD, and that just kind of seemed like over the top to me.
That's a good question. Let's ask Seth. We need Seth here. Hey, Seth.
Seth, tell us about that.
Did this dream actually happen? Up until the fangs, of course.
Right. Fill in all the blanks that were not on camera.
Film another 50 hours for us. We need to see more.
Right. Then we'll be ready for episode 2.
They perform some testing on the pterodon after this scene here. And finally, we get a scene where Charlie is too busy to hate on Isaac.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the whole show right here, this scene. Go ahead.
This time, these little remote drones are being used for battle testing. And I like them. I really want to know what they're called. I just call them drones for now.
Right. This is what Gorilla was talking about, where they're doing maneuvers around the space station.
Mm-hmm. Gordon says that Charlie can see in the fourth dimension, and it's difficult to see how that's applied. But let's take a moment to talk about the fourth dimension because it's a fun topic. I clipped some
Was it fourth dimension or 4D geometry?
4D geometry. Same thing. 4D is fourth dimension.
Okay.
I clipped some videos to help with this.
Yes,
I'm not
right.
sure exactly how they are applying this to Charlie's
Oh,
ability to
go ahead. I'll be
manipulate the
interested to
console.
see this. Right. I'll be interested to see how much they stuck to the landing. Yes.
Okay.
Because with her mentality, I can't even see 2D thinking. But go ahead.
2D and 3D space to determine what would happen in 4D space. One of the first things you would notice if you looked in a 4D space is that you would see the world as a 3D shape, in a similar way to how you view a 3D world and can put it onto a 2D picture. But there's one catch. You can see all the sides of a shape. Remember how if you were to put a circle in a 2D box, you could still see it looking down from above in 3D? Well, now in 4D, you can see every side of the 3D box when looking down on it, including seeing the ball inside. Are you freaked out yet? After you get over the bit of wonder you experience being able to see inside of the box, you might also notice that another 4D box is casting a shadow on the wall. And the shadow, it's a 3D shape. Yes, just like how 2D space has linear shadows, 3D space has 2D shadows, here in 4D space we have 3-dimensional shadows. What would one of these shadows look like? Here's an example. This is called a tesseract, which is the shadow you would get from casting light through a 4D cube. Notice how it's made of 2 cubes connected at the vertices, just like how you can draw a cube on paper from 2 squares and connecting the corners. Now the tesseract looks weird enough sitting still, but watch what happens the moment you start rotating it. I'll give you a moment to clean up your mind, which is most likely at this point exploded. Yes, that's what the shadow of a 4D cube looks like when the cube rotates. Why does it do this, where the middle cube stretches out to become the outer cube? Let's take a look at the shadow of a 3D cube. First, note the 2 squares. One is smaller than the other because of perspective, making further objects appear smaller. But if you follow the small square, you'll see that it moves to the other side, before eventually moving to the front of the cube and becoming the big square. Now watch the tesseract again. The little cube, because of 4D perspective, when rotated to be closer, becomes bigger, while the big cube rotates to be smaller. So just like in a 3D cube, where the big and little squares switch places, in a 4D cube, the big and little cubes will switch places.
And that's the beginner's guide to fourth dimension by well, I put the link in the description below. I forget the name of the YouTuber at this moment.
Okay, kids, grab your pencils. Time for the quiz.
So maybe this is what they mean. Maybe Charlie is able to easily see the third dimensional cross sections in the fourth dimension as it is changing in this Minecraft video that I'm about to show. So I have another video that shows how it's possible for someone stuck in the third dimension like us to perceive anything in the fourth dimension.
You'll notice a very familiar, blocky-looking landscape. But there's more to this world than meets the eye. As I scroll with the mouse wheel, the landscape appears to transform. Blocks seem to contort into all kinds of different shapes, while some seem to appear out of thin air, and others slowly disappear. Even the sun appears to grow and shrink. This kind of behavior is not unusual when 3-dimensional beings like you and me try to interact with a 4-dimensional world. In order to explain what's happening here, let's look at what happens when a 2-dimensional being tries to interact with a 3-dimensional world. Let me introduce you to Frank. Frank is a 2-dimensional being, restricted to a 2-dimensional plane, and therefore cannot see anything beyond the 2nd dimension, much like how we cannot directly see anything beyond the 3rd dimension. Luckily for Frank, we 3-dimensional beings have the technology to give him a glimpse into the 3rd dimension. We can allow him to explore a 2-dimensional slice of the 3D world around him. In addition to this, we can give him a superpower that allows him to rotate his cross-sectional plane in the 3rd dimension, which lets him explore anywhere he wants in his new 3D environment. When Frank uses his superpower, to him it looks like the landscape is completely transforming. The blocks around him seem to change shape, appear, and even disappear. To us, what Frank sees makes perfect sense. We can look at him trying to explore different cross-sections of the 3D world around him. We can see him get stuck inside a cave, and while the way out seems obvious to us, it's not so easy for him. This is exactly what happens to us when we try to explore a four-dimensional world.
Of course, I should have known. Yeah.
Well,
total
see,
sense.
I'm trying to reconcile what they mean by how Charlie is able to think spatially in multiple dimensions, and that is how I
Gotcha.
landed on something like that. That she
Gotcha.
might be able to see the three-dimensional cross sections from the fourth dimension, even though she can't interact with that fourth dimension, of course.
And even though her eyes physically cannot see into
Right.
the fourth dimension, right?
Right, but she can see cross sections, and that would
Right.
make sense somehow.
Gotcha.
I don't know how that is integrated with anything on the Orville. Maybe, hopefully, they give us more later. And because
Sorry,
that's
go ahead. I was
that-
reading the review, the comments. Go ahead.
right. I wanted to start. Someone said something nice about Doomcock that I wanted to say. Where was that? I don't know. I missed it. But anyway,
Sorry.
the reason why I did that, Dalek says, why are we having a science lesson in the middle of the review? This is because I love science, but not in the way like they say on on New Trek.
Right, at least
But
it's not
honestly,
F in science, huh?
Yeah, right. I come to the Orville, and whenever they do explain the technobabble, they actually, a lot of it that really does make sense. We could stop and analyze every little bit of it and have an even longer review.
Yeah, I seriously wish
talking
we had.
about all of these kind of things. But Flatland and second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension is something that I'm really interested in. And it's one of those kinds of topics that I enjoy seeing in science fiction. And I hope that they do more with it to make it make more sense. And so
Yeah,
I
that
just
would be
wanted
nice.
I just wanted to show my perspective of what I know about it. Or at least what these YouTubers know that I shared. So I'll be putting their links if you want to see the full videos.
Cool.
And I have my son to thank for that last one. It was in his watch history, and I accidentally saw it. And so yeah, if you were in that kind of game, you'd realize it's really difficult to perceive that. Anyway. Oh, and Nerdportal life form. I'm talking about the fourth spatial dimension, which is after length times width times height. If you were capable of putting length times width times height to right angles to each other, which we cannot do because we're only in the third dimension. We can only perceive a shadow of the fourth dimension. Then that's the fourth dimension I'm talking about. But yes, in a way, you can consider space-time and time the fourth dimension in a different way. But I'm talking about the fourth spatial dimension. And hello in the chat to Son of a Red Shirt. Hey kids, my doc at my doc's at the moment. Saw you guys were on and can't stay, but I thought I'd leave a comment and leave a like.
Oh, good
thank
to
you
see
for
you there. Hope you're doing
coming
well.
with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and anyway, I want to see more about that fourth dimension stuff. Obviously, I'm obsessed with it. If if it was difficult to see Gordon side with Charlie, it's even more difficult seeing Marcus angry and scared of Isaac. The fear he has is very real, and it was shown in the things he saw in the nightmare. Also showcasing that some of that fright is framed through his adolescent lens. His youth is why his anger is much more visceral and direct. And I have to say that BJ Tanner's acting as Marcus has really grown and improved from that time he was drinking vodka from the environmental simulator.
Both of her kids, I think, do exceptional jobs. Excellent, yes.
Yes.
And they don't get on your nerves. You know, a lot of times kids, the way they're written in these shows, they tend to get on your nerves, but not these. I really do genuinely like them.
Yeah, me too. I mean, maybe Into the Fold, they kind of introduced them as annoying, but they got better.
Well, and that was part of developing the characters where we got to know them as well. Just showing that, hey, this may be the future. They're maybe on a spaceship, but they're still normal boys like anybody else.
Exactly. And you can tell that you really can tell his acting's improved. And Isaac did side with Kaelon for a time, but I mean, that's really the only way that you can understand this reasoning. But when you actually watch Identity, when you actually see everything Isaac is doing, you see something different, and which is what we see, which is something these characters who are angry did not get to see. When Isaac was faced with witnessing the murder of an engineering crew, he tries to reason with Kaelon Primary that it's not necessary to kill. And he's ultimately removed from the situation by the Kaelon Primary so that they can carry out the execution without Isaac repeatedly trying to logic his way into saving the crew member.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And
I
this
never
is
saw,
something,
in my opinion, at least, I never saw any point in those episodes where even after Isaac had been to Kalon and programmed or reprogrammed or whatever, I still never saw any attempt where Isaac tried to hurt anybody. He was basically just secretly trying to defend them. He was just afraid to speak up in front of the other Kalons. Is all. I don't know. That's why I'm
afraid.
torn. That's why I'm torn.
Afraid.
All these people are blaming Isaac, like, well, you know, he did this and it's his fault, and he turned on the crew, and none of that. All this was out of his hands, in my opinion. But it's an opinion.
Yeah, really, what is he going to do? He would just be thrown in. I mean, or he would just be deactivated,
He
turned
would have
off,
been deactivated,
his
right,
memory wiped.
or wiped, and then he knows by doing that he would have been no help to the crew at all. So he did the right thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah, in a way, you could see it from that perspective, and I see it that way too. And during this episode, I keep relaying to the perspective of the people who are angry because
At least, like I said,
I
right. Go ahead.
yeah, I like to see things from all sides, and I can see that they're hurt.
Isaac reminds me of a double agent, like in the old World War II days, where you think, yes, he's a spy for the Kalon, but he's really on the side of the Union.
And this was a clear indication early on that Isaac was not going to go along with the genocide of Earth. It just took him longer maybe than it should have.
He was waiting for
Um,
he was waiting for the right opportunity to strike back.
yes, and he found it.
Yep.
And here it seems that even Dr. Finn hasn't forgiven Isaac's what they see as Isaac's betrayal yet either. But of course, um, she approaches the issue much more compassionately than her son does. Similar to how Gordon doesn't think Isaac should have been reactivated, but also doesn't carry around an angry vendetta that Charlie does.
Right, and we know that the Doctor still has feelings for Isaac.
Yes. And Marcus mirrors Charlie's anger in a much more visceral way. A kid who is angry. And Ed lets Marcus off with a warning not to do that again. Here, Marcus is now the anti-Wesley.
By the way, guys, if you like this stream, please hit the like and sub to Anti-Derivative Jill's channel. Click the alert buttons so that you can watch the next reviews we have.
Yes, please. That sounds good to me. So I'm not sure why Claire thinks anything is going to be any different after an exchange like that. And so, of course, when Isaac comes to apologize, it doesn't work. In fact, it makes things worse because Isaac thinks all he's done is cause distress, when Marcus is feeling much more pain than that. Coming from anyone else from the crew, Isaac can find it a mere curiosity, but hearing it from Marcus that no one wants him around, and that Marcus himself wants Isaac gone,
Right, he told Isaac, "I hate you." Right.
yeah, it burrows it burrows deep in his programming, specifically the programming which has changed
Well,
because of
can I
his
ask a
bonding.
question? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In the episodes of season 2 that followed after Identity Part 2,
Uh-huh.
what scenes did they show how Isaac interacted with the kids? Because it just seemed like they just turned on a dime for this episode. I don't remember Marcus
That's a good
acting
question.
any of this.
I'd have to go back and rewatch that last half of season 2 to see if
It
there's
just
any
seemed all of a
positive.
sudden. It just I don't like with him and Gordon. It just seemed all of a sudden out of nowhere to support the
Yeah.
other characters.
Yeah, I can write off Gordon as being professional, but I didn't that wouldn't apply to the kids.
But I
Um
don't know. Go ahead.
all
Sorry.
right, I'll go back and we'll answer that next time. Um
Same here.
oh, um I forgot to show a video from earlier, so I guess I'm not going to show that one.
I'm sorry. I
Um,
probably distracted you.
no, I was talking about four-dimensional space.
Okay.
Because it was during that scene where they are testing
The new fighter.
the pterodon right in the middle of the dockyard, having explosions and everything. It's
Yes,
obviously
exactly.
laser tag, except that it's making the. I'll agree with I just wanted to agree with Gorilla's random thoughts that instead of exploding, I think that those little drones should have just like blinked red or something to show that they've been destroyed, more of a simulation kind of way.
Well, it's not just the explosion, but they would not be allowed to fly that way, that close to all the big machinery in the space station because of the danger of colliding with another object. They would have to go at a distance away from the space station in order to perform the dogfight training. You know, it's
Hmm.
like having an aircraft carrier on the ocean, and they're going to do an exercise. So the planes take off from the deck, and they're all shooting and fighting and flying in and through and around the aircraft carrier while they're doing it, which makes no sense because they could damage the ship, crash into it, anything could happen. But I'm sure it comes
Right.
down to, but it looks cool. Probably
But it
changed it, but
looks
it looks
cool,
cool,
exactly.
right?
So they wouldn't be doing this in the shipyard either. They'd go out to space without
Right.
anything around them.
And maybe have
That's
a
also
few
true.
like right, and maybe have a few like what would now would be we would have cones out, you know, to make them like an obstacle course. They could put out things like that, and they could show a dogfight in space. But yeah, I
Mhm.
know it looks cool around the space station, so I'll give them that. Sorry, guys, I'm not trying to be too technical,
No,
but
I absolutely agree with you on that one, 100%. And and coming coming from anyone else in the crew, Isaac can take it, but from Marcus, um, it means something different because his Isaac's programming has bonded with the Finn family, so his primary connection to humanity itself really stems from his relationship with them. So he doesn't take it as seriously from Charlie as he does from Marcus.
right, exactly. This was the deciding factor, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Without without this family, he really has nothing because he knows he can't go back to his home planet because, like Odo from Deep Space Nine, he wouldn't want to go back.
I think he considered
And
it like his family. I think it's
mhm.
his connection to the human race.
And actually, there was a proof of this that he felt that way because in Identity Part Two, he says, "My actions have eliminated the possibility of returning to my planet, and the actions of the Kalons have eliminated my wish to do so. So he's left with nowhere. He believes he's left with nothing, and he takes Marcus literally at his word.
Right. I think, and this is sort of like his adoptive family.
Hmm. So when Marcus says he wishes he were dead, he Isaac obliges. And he finishes work on the refit in a very precise and delicate manner.
Yeah, I have to speak up about this part of the show. Excellent, excellent writing. All the techno jargon that Isaac is doing. Basically, he's giving them suggestions for upgrades and tune-ups and all these things like he would have done if he would have been there. And I think they did an excellent job at explaining everything they put in. I could not repeat it verbatim, obviously, but I think
Right.
it was very well written, this scene.
Me too. This was one of the clips that I wanted to clip, but I didn't. But definitely go watch it. It's worth it. And it all makes sense. It really does. And so the whole score, the music, the score of the entire show shifts
Right.
to
He pretty
somber.
much gave himself a power surge.
Yes. And before we talk about that, the episode continues to show us a new room in the Orville. We see inside the engine room for the first time and learn that the Orville is now almost as powerful as a heavy cruiser, despite still being a mid-sized ship. And so then they're all directed to the lab. And back in Identity, Isaac used an EM field to deactivate the Kalon, which is what he used again, but this time he used a narrowband frequency.
Yes.
He targets his primary systems with precision, and Lamar says it's like puncturing a seal with a nail instead of a hammer. It's not as heavy, but the pressure's more focused. And so his primary systems and internal memory are apparently shot. And it's Claire who figures out that it was self-deletion. Like in Identity, Yaphet tries to help.
Well, remember the recording. They listened to Isaac's last recording, and the last thing he says in regards to the family.
Yes, that's right. My best wishes to the Finn family.
That's it. Yes, thank you.
And Alara, I always do that. Tala says, how could he get to this place with no emotions? I never believed that. Who never believed that? Dr. Finn never believed that. We're seeing just how much he really felt. And of course, Yaphet is not able to save him like he was before. And then Marcus does that thing that we've all done where we pretend we're asleep, but our mom knows that we're not.
This is the scene, right, where I was like, okay, is he still upset and hating Isaac, or is he regretting what he said? I didn't really know that yet. They had
You can't tell. Yeah, they didn't. No. He just doesn't want to talk about it with her.
Right. So I didn't know what it was he was thinking, right?
Yeah, but it was still a good scene because it shows that his Claire knows that he's going to be blaming himself for this.
Well, at least he is blaming himself, unlike Mrs. Charlie O'Hurd over here, right?
Yeah, right. At least he realizes what he said has had an effect.
Repercussions, right? Yes.
Yes. Gorilla's random thought says, "What's that moaning in the background?" Did you hear any moaning?
Oh, sorry, it was Grandma. I put her back in the closet, guys. I'm just kidding. Sorry, it was my dogs. I'm just kidding. My dogs, they want to go out and go potty. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, if you do need to go out and do that, you can, and I'll still be here.
They're okay. I told them to hold on a little bit. They're fine.
Okay. If you do need to do that, let me know, and we'll figure something out.
I'll delay it
I
as
think
long as possible.
okay. Um.
Sorry, Gorilla.
So, what does Hungry Boy say? Top slice of the episode, yes, but if you dread what you know, he's leading up to. But you dread what you know he's leading up to.
Yeah, he's talking about the scene with the interaction between the son and Isaac.
Mm-hmm. So even Dr. Finn can't completely reconcile Isaac's actions. So Kelly has actually a pretty good idea, which is to go to the place where they had good times. And she says, just because someone you love does a bad thing doesn't mean you automatically stop loving them. And of course, even though I know it's not going to last, it's still kind of difficult to watch this stuff. And I get how it can be difficult to get through an episode where you don't agree with many of the characters, but you can try to understand their perspective. I can see why they're angry and scared because of what Isaac resembles. That threat that killed so many and played a part. But in the end, he chose Orville, and he chose Earth, and he chose humanity. And when he thought his elimination was best for everyone, which is why this episode is named after that novel, I think.
Now, this is the scene where someone brought up earlier that Gordon's not at the funeral.
Yeah, I didn't see Gordon here either.
I didn't notice actually watching the episode, so it may be true. I don't know.
Yeah. This episode just keeps making me think of that theme, though. Despite Isaac's brilliance, he had the most difficulty figuring out proper social interactions and knowing exactly what he was thinking during identity is something we don't know. And diversity of thought is what's interesting to me. So it was clear throughout that even though he was going along with the takeover of the Orville, he questioned the actions of violence to the point where the Kalan primary wanted to wipe him clean and essentially reboot him to factory settings.
Yes.
What began as just a steady inhumanity turned into claiming a bit of it for himself in a way that his programming allows. He may not have the emotions, but at this point, I think maybe he knows when they're occurring and has a way to react to them. And having Marcus show up to the funeral here was a nice touch of growth for his character.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice if they would have showed something from Gordon. You know, if it's true he wasn't at the funeral, then I guess that they're leaving that open ended. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet. And if you go back to Identity, Bortus actually agrees with Gordon that Isaac shouldn't have been reactivated. So we don't know what's going on with Bortus yet.
That's right. They even barely showed him in this episode. He's got a very small role, doesn't he?
Yeah. He doesn't say much. And of course, Ty grieves like any child would if they had an environmental simulator. But luckily, Claire finds him in time to explain why this isn't a healthy method to cope, because it keeps you from grieving through a false illusion.
Yes. And then she tells him to leave, right?
Yeah.
And
This
then she
reminds
does what?
me.
And then she does the exact same thing she told him not to do.
Oh, but not with Isaac himself, but
Well,
with
yeah, I know,
place.
splitting a hair down the middle, right? But
Well,
Right.
this thing with Ty reminds me of the time that that kid on the Enterprise lost his mom, and the alien felt guilty, so the alien tried to pretend to be his mom in a similar simulator,
Oh, that's true. Yes.
and
Hello,
but
Mark D
so
with a C.
oh, hello in the chat to Mark D with the C. So this part could have been its own episode, but Claire stops it before that happens. Hey, hey, Mark D with the C. Hi, everyone. Lurking at work, so I can't chat much. This was a great start to the season. I think so too, because it's given us a ton to talk about. Then, like she and Kelly talked about, um, Dr. Finn chooses to simulate the restaurant where Isaac created for their dates.
Reflip the tables.
Yeah, where he flipped the table. Let's flip. Yeah. He was taking he was taking something she said literally,
Yes.
and so she grieves here.
I thought that was an excellent scene, by the way. I want to point that out. Excellent on
I
her point.
I
I'm
did
not
too.
familiar with the actress very much, but good job, I would say. Very believable.
Yeah. I agree too.
Right. See, just as much as like I
She's
was
great.
saying, right, like I was saying earlier, that it kind of set back my opinion of Gordon and of the way he acted and the captain. That scene really made me feel and care more about her character even more than I already did like her in the first place. But all the more I like her character now.
Yes, yeah. So the question isn't exactly, nobody's questioning that what Isaac did it was something that needs to be addressed. It's just how people react to it that makes a difference.
Yeah, and in a way, it was blown out of proportion. But that's an opinion.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I'm glad I heard yours. Um, they finish the refit and engineering. Yaphet comes out of the EV suit here. Uh, that was definitely one of the clips I wanted. I'm gonna get that later because it
Oh,
was a really good
where he
one.
gets out of the suit.
Yes, I really like that. I don't know why.
Well, it makes sense. They don't have a suit designed for him, so he can just fit into the suit, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So he does breathe air, and he needs that. Right, he can't just be out in space.
Right. Interesting. So, in the past 2 seasons, we heard a lot about how great Lamar was with women, but really we only saw him with Ensign Turco that one time. So here we get to see more of that.
Great job, the bridge.
Oh yeah, after this the motion picture homage.
Yes. Hello, Comic Relief Crusader.
Yeah,
Oh,
hello, Comic Relief Crusader.
wow, there was a lot of speculation around this scene online.
There
Some people were
was.
saying,
I
well,
don't
people were
think I
joking.
saw as many reviews as you did. Go
Some
ahead.
people were saying they thought she was a famous actress. They couldn't recognize her, but I don't know. Did you look it up?
Her name is Alexis Knapp. I don't really
I
know
haven't
her.
heard of it. Okay, I don't know.
I
I
just
haven't.
learned her name just in case anybody wanted to know.
Okay.
She's very beautiful with or
Well,
without the makeup.
they were talking about if she's going to be a recurring character, and I don't know. I don't know if they showed enough of her to establish that or not.
I don't know. She was really fun. Um, so you know. Oh, and of course, at the funeral, we see that Lamar was there for Isaac, so it makes sense that he would keep a gift from him. So here after and during this scene, she wants this lollipop. I forget what it's called. After intercourse, she wants the lollipop,
Right.
but also she finds this fork. And so we get a bit of backstory that we never saw, where we find that Lamar kept a gift from Isaac because it was meaningful to John, because of course it's the thought that counts. Isaac just didn't understand that the gift needed some kind of meaning.
And we at least have established now that John mourns Isaac's passing, at least, right? We know that.
Yes. Yes. He wouldn't keep that fork if he didn't. Why would you keep a fork if you didn't care?
Exactly.
And this is how she's great, because the messaging for self-deletion is really deep here, because many of us think the way Lamar does, that Isaac made the wrong choice. But Aurelia here, she has a different culture. She has a perspective. It wouldn't be surprising to me if there are other people on Earth who have this kind of perspective, that no one asks to exist, so they should be able to decide to not exist also. And it goes along with the theme of varying opinions given throughout this episode, leaving you to make your own decisions. And I'm more on the side of Lamar here, of course, because sure, it's a decision, but it's a permanent one. And
Well, not only that though, but it affects the people around you.
right.
Right. It's the negative way it affects people around you. Right.
Hmm.
It's kind of a selfish decision, I guess, but he doesn't want to say those words.
No, he doesn't, um, because the person doing it doesn't think that anything's going to get better.
And it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah. And she goes on to explain how it is the memory that lives on through death, and that's what gives John his idea to help us finish the episode. So he runs in his robe, in his underwear, um, to engineering to see if his idea has any merit. He
Yeah, good thing
pulls.
they kept Isaac there, huh?
Yeah, right. The
Right.
ship
After all the
hadn't come
funeral and
yet.
everything, yeah, I'm surprised they hadn't ejected him out into space or something. But okay, they
No,
kept
no,
him
no,
around just in
no.
case.
Well, wait. In this scene, they mentioned what are they going to do with him? They're going to send. They were going to send him to some science facility for research.
Yes.
But you're right. He might have been like packed away or something. But no, he was still laid out here. And Lamar pulls out Isaac's memory circuit, and he
Right.
has. Oh yeah, and he uses. We get new comm scanners this season. They look nice. Um, and he decides, after scanning it, something tells him that he needs to get into it. Um, and so he has Unc smash it,
Right.
and so
And that's what
there's where we see Unc.
right. That's what we were talking about. He probably could not fit into one of their spacesuits.
No, he'd need a custom one if he had to.
Yes.
And so by smashing it, John finds what he's looking for, and he decides that Isaac might have this backdoor memory that the other Kylon made without um, so that they could keep a backup consciousness to restart if they needed to.
I'll be right back, Jill.
Okay.
The
Okay, go
dogs are
ahead.
driving me crazy. I'll make it fast.
Okay. No problem. So so John figures out that Isaac may have a backdoor backup memory that the other Kalon make without knowing, or that human. Okay, so so here are the possibilities. So the possibilities are that Isaac didn't know about this backup memory when he killed himself, or he thought that the humans were too stupid to figure it out, which checks out with how many times he's talked about having a superior intellect. But I don't have it written here, but I thought that there was possibly a third option. The third option would be that he knew about this subatomic memory backup. That he knew about it, and he even thought that the crew could figure it out, and that if they don't if they don't reactivate him, that then he did them a favor by doing what he did, but that if they do reactivate him, that he somehow knows that that they care about him in some way. But I don't know. I don't know which of these. They never answer which of these are the case. So maybe I'll tell those questions to Pop Culture Curator to see what he thinks. So hello in the chat, guys. Hungry Boy says this was a quite Catholic versus atheist bedroom debate. And Comic Relief Crusader says, yep, no box and packing peanuts yet. Do they use packing peanuts on Orville? So since he had to smash the memory cell to get at the subatomic storage cell, it's not going to last long. And here we find out that what they need is the intuitive power of a biological brain, along with the visualization capacity to work in multiple dimensions. So if this were any other species technology, I'd say this doesn't make much sense, but there's a good possibility that the Kalan themselves can think and even program in multiple dimensions. Though I'm not sure exactly what that means yet. I showed you earlier, theoretically, how to view multiple dimensions spatially, but how they apply here to Isaac's memory, I have no idea. It's fair enough if you don't buy it. I admit it's a bit of a stretch without further explanation, but notice here that he doesn't even say the fourth dimension, just multiple dimensions. So, given her understanding, Charlie is seen here as the best for the job. Whether or not she's the only one on the ship that can do it, I'm not certain. I have there is a possibility that Captain Mercer is making it seem like Charlie is the only one who can do it, so that she can actually face her problems head on here in this type of way. But I'm not sure. That's another question I have. And hello in the chat to Captain Cockney Spock. He says that. Where would he say that? So at least before, in the last scene where they were talking, she asked for permission to speak, but
okay.
She's
back.
Okay. Oh, okay. Welcome back. Are you back? Oh, hello in the chat to Orville Nation.
I am back. Yes, I am back. I'm listening.
Okay, great. And
hello, Orville Nation. Good to see you there.
Yes, hello. Great to see you. So Yeah, I was asking these questions about about Isaac's brain. Why, how he had this kind of backup. Did he know he had this backup? Did he know about it? Was he unaware of it? Did he just think humans were too stupid to figure it out? Or did he think that the crew could figure it out, and if they really wanted him back, that they'd actually, go through with figuring that out?
So, are you asking if Isaac is an attention whore?
Yeah, kind of. It seemed
Doesn't
being
seem likely.
manipulative.
Well,
No, you don't think so?
we know a lot of times suicides are people just trying to get attention, right? They'll get in front of a crowd so people can see them. They won't do it alone in their bedrooms. So it is true
Yeah, I don't
sometimes.
think so either, but I'm just going through the possibilities here since we don't know
Oh, I
for sure
understand. Yes,
what the what's going on.
right.
But aside from that, we're at this scene here. Let's see.
Those chairs are right out of TOS.
Yeah, she in this instance she dropped all pretense about asking for permission to speak
Of
freely.
course. Yeah, because she runs the ship now at this point. Of course.
She's
She should
dropped
tell
that
him to sit out. She should tell him to sit down and shut up.
because because she still blames Isaac for her friend's death. She refuses,
Yep. Still about
despite
her. Yep.
Isaac being a crewmate. She
Uh-huh.
sees him as an enemy, and her hatred overpowers her.
Oh
I
yeah, but
can't
go ahead.
I can't argue with you that the way she speaks to Mercer is way out of line, especially since
The question is, why does he
um
take it? I mean, why is it written that way? I just don't. It doesn't make sense, right?
yeah,
He's her commanding officer, I thought, but I could be
yeah,
wrong. Like I said, Captain Stubing, not Captain
but at this point
Mercer.
he still isn't. I get that, but at this point he still hasn't ordered her to do anything yet. He's still trying to appeal to her, and this
Right. Okay. Yes.
I
But
know.
I
Well,
agree. He
okay,
hasn't ordered her yet. I agree that. Yes, I
I
agree
know
to that.
you actually don't really like Picard much either, but this is exactly what happens in that episode where Worf, the enemy, where Worf is told that he's the only one who could help this Romulan,
Oh,
and of course the
I'm
Romulans.
aware. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that episode. Here's the difference. There's a
There is a
difference,
difference, yes.
right? I can't order you to take blood out of your body and give it to me, but I can order you to do a job. That's the difference. And nobody seems to be bringing up in any of the other chats. You know what I'm saying? If it was ordering Warp to do a job and he didn't do it, that'd be insubordination. But you can't say I'm going to steal and take some of your blood from something part of your body, whether you like it or not. I think that was the important
Oh,
factor in that episode, which
okay,
people seem to be gliding right over in a lot of the reviews. It's like, no,
okay, okay. Yeah, well, the bigger difference actually is that Worf said, if you ask me to volunteer, I'm not going to do it, but if you order me, I will do it.
right? And they're not going to say, I order you to let us take your blood. See, that's
Hmm.
different than saying, I order you to do the job. I order you to push the button or to do your command,
I
whatever.
didn't see that difference. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's a personal violation. Right.
Well, here's how Ed reacts to her.
All right, so be better than they are. Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life, even when our enemies don't.
And then he does this.
You know, Charlie, you're not the only one who lost friends in that battle. And I'm really sorry that you did, and I'm sorry that I did, but this thing you do where you act like you have some kind of a monopoly on grief is starting to wear a little thin.
Starting.
Well, at least he says it. He finally says what you wanted him to say in the first meeting.
What he should have said in the very first meeting, he should have said starting to wear thin. He should have said, if you have emotional issues, then we'll find someone else to command your post. You're relieved of duty, and I'm recommending you for psychological testing and treatment, is what I said at the very first meeting. Because you do not want mutiny. You don't
Yeah,
want
I think I
anybody
agree
against
with you.
morale. You don't want anyone to
That would
jeopardize
make
your
sense.
mission or your crew. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong when you have a bad apple. But like I said, that's an opinion.
Hmm. And perfectly valid too. Captain Cockney's box says everyone wants attention. That's why we're on YouTube.
There's different kinds of attention and different amounts of attention.
Charlie and the Narcissism Factory. The episode was the Defector. Oh, the Defector. Wait, that's a different Romulan episode. Never mind. Okay, so all of this before any kind of resolution can occur, they're interrupted by a Kalan attack. They hide in the cyclonic storms in the planet, but the planet eats away at their deflectors at 17% per minute. This isn't the first time Ed had released all the torpedoes to defeat an enemy. This harkens back to when he did that very same thing on the old wounds, but this time they put them in a shuttlecraft. Send it out and destroy it. Playing possum. Hoping that the Kalan are tricked into thinking that it was Orville that was destroyed.
Right. It's too bad they couldn't have sent that shuttle straight towards that Kalon ship, huh?
Right? I mean, they don't even try that, but I guess in lieu of trying that and failing, it's better to survive. And I guess Ed makes that decision, and that's what
Yes.
happens here.
Which is fine.
Yep, totally fine. And it works. He gets lucky. And
Chuckles the clown.
you guys gave Pop Culture Curator a nickname for Charlie.
Yeah, thank you. I like that.
However, Lamar says that the stasis field is knocked out, so the subatomic memory will only last a couple of hours. But when Captain Mercer orders Charlie to help Lamar, she refuses, and he relieves her of duty.
Yeah, this is so cute. I love this scene. It works out so well and it's so believable. I'm
This
surprised
is
she didn't
how
slap him on the way out of the door.
this is how she's different from Worf, because even though he refused to do it voluntarily, if he were ordered to do it in this case, he would have done it. He is bound by duty and honor, but Charlie isn't. And
Yeah,
right now, at
this
this
would be
point, that's a
this would be
fact of her
mutiny. Right,
character.
this would be mutiny. This would be mutiny and a minimum of an Article 15, stripped of rank. And I can go on and on of what she would get, and for doing all that in front of the crew, in front of his fellow officers. Oh, the list of charges are endless. But oh well, that's for another day.
I would have been okay with just 2 weeks in the brig.
Like I said, you're right. Captain Stubing, yeah, thank goodness he's the captain, right? Maybe go without one breakfast or something.
Yeah, right. Something. She ends up in the mess hall when Marcus asks if she could help Isaac because he's racked with the guilt that he believes is his fault.
Right. So if you want consolence from anybody on the ship, she's the one, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and Marcus says that he didn't really want Isaac to die, and so he asks her to help him. And that's the effect that she finally sees that Isaac has had a positive effect on members of the crew, and I guess she just never realized that was the case. Here, Marcus gets her to change her mind, rather than see Marcus carry this guilt with him.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, I know it's a rare thing in Hollywood these days, but it's a good thing she's a secret to everything. What a surprise.
Um,
That's called
well,
contrived.
okay, I have a thought about that. I have a
Okay.
theory that she actually isn't the only one who could have done this. That Lamar could have done it. Yaphet could have done it.
Right.
Um,
All this
I
script is
have a
written around
theory.
her. I completely agree.
I
Yes.
have it makes more sense that she can't be the only one who could have done this. I think that Captain Mercer made it seem like she was the only one who could do it to force her to. This was her punishment, quote
Well,
unquote,
right, but
to
in fact,
force her to look at herself
Right, but then
and
they would have showed
see.
scenes. They would have showed other scenes of him with the other crew members making that decision because pretty much if it doesn't happen on screen, it didn't happen, right?
I know this didn't happen,
We'd
but this
like to
is
wish
how
that that's what
this
happened, but
this yeah, right. I am this is the headcanon thing that Captain Cockney Spock in the chat doesn't really like, that I am inserting into this episode to make it seem that um she's not the bestest ever. That
this is the
the
part where
Captain
she
Rich.
right. This is the part where she tells the boy, "I know we both told him we hate him, and I know I told him that the whole ship hates him, but it's not his fault he killed himself. He was going to do it anyway." Thank you, Amber.
Um
Yes. Thank you, Judge, Jury. Yes.
well,
Sorry.
maybe someday she will see what Isaac means to everybody, because she sees what Isaac means to Marcus here. And as she keeps seeing more and more people have this relationship with Isaac that's not negative, maybe her attitude will start to change.
Well, I'm glad she's using her job as her treatment, right? Her mental treatment. She's using everyone around her
Yeah,
to treat herself
I
mentally, I
guess you
guess.
could say that. I guess you could say
There's no
that.
counseling, no PTSD existing in the future, I guess. In the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
episodes, in
right.
previous episodes, they made it look like the doctor was the doctor slash counselor, right?
She is, but I guess she hasn't. Maybe she just hasn't reached Charlie yet. She hasn't been told of what's going on with Charlie, and maybe we'll get that later.
Hmm.
Because she definitely has some problems.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the
Um,
possibility that she'll come clean.
Nobody sensible likes headcanon, except when it fixes existing plot holes.
Like you did with City on the Edge of Forever.
Yes, thank you.
Right, you explained it, but it made sense in canon, right? So that's a good example.
Mhm.
Chuckles for president of the Academy Awards. I'll watch that episode of the Academy Awards. I'm sure I'll be the only viewer.
Oh, hello in the chat to Doc Valiant. Great to see you here.
Well, there's an old Star Trek fan.
But the fact is that Isaac is on the Orville now, and she's going to have to figure this out. You know.
It's okay. She's a secret to everything. She can do it.
And, well, yeah, she did do it. She did it, and we find out the inside of Isaac's brain looks like Tron.
Except no light cycle.
Although I agree with you that she deserves some kind of reprimand for disobeying orders.
Well, not only that, would you trust her? Right now, she could be sabotaging the most valuable piece of equipment they have on that ship. Because she's already shown that she's
you mean
mentally
Isaac?
unstable and not trustworthy. Yes, Isaac. She could be sabotaging him right now. In this scene is what I was thinking as I was watching it.
Whoa,
She's
well, we'll
proven to be
see.
mentally unstable.
Hey,
She's
we're
proven
getting
to be.
we're getting a prediction from Pop Culture Curator.
Well, I'm not predicting anything. No, I'm just saying
well,
that that's what it didn't make sense that they would just let her work on him if no one else knows what she's doing because she could be sabotaged. Because so far she's shown that she's mentally unstable, vindictive, and that she has no regards for the crew or the mission. So I don't know if I would trust her to get into the most valuable piece of equipment on the ship. Is what I'm saying. That's all. That's an angle they would have to consider. At least it would be nice if they talked about it, had a scene where they discussed that. And then somebody would say, "Well, sir, she's the only one we can rely on. She's the only one that can do it. It's either that or nothing at all, something." And then someone's going to say, "Yeah, she's a secret to everything. What do you think she's here?" It's like, "Oh, okay. You're
yeah,
right. She is on the poster, isn't she?"
she has a gift that nobody else has to
Of course.
see into the fourth dimension, to see spatially.
Perfect timing. Yes.
At least,
So my question is, this scene here where she revives Isaac, and all you guys watching, for you, the question is for you, Jill, and for all you in the chat. What she's doing right now, do you think this redeems her character?
She does bring him back. Well, it helps, but I think she definitely needs. I agree with you that she needs at least a week in the brig released, and also some psychological support that she doesn't get here. Uh, and when Nog gets PTSD from well, he Nog was obviously a hero, but he also had PTSD. And even in the case where he got his leg blown um, off and he got a prosthetic, he was even put off duty for a while to go through treatment. And he chose his treatment to be the holodeck. And it would make some sense if Charlie was put off duty for a while for that treatment that you were mentioning earlier.
Well, the last you
So
should, if she's cannot trust her, if she has any issues, even the slightest issues, she should not be at her post, and especially such an important post as helming the ship. But
so I think if they did give her that treatment and maybe a bit of punishment for disobeying orders, I I don't see any reason why she can't continue at some point.
right, but that's if they show that, right?
Hmm.
Which I doubt, but hey, you can always hope.
So let's see. What does the chat say? The dude on the table looks cool.
Yes, Doc Valiant. That's the robot. It's actually. I guess. Jill, he's not considered an android. Is that right? He's a robot.
Yeah, he's a robot.
Robot. Right. So yeah, very cool. I totally agree.
And Captain Cockney Spock says Jill's understanding of the city on the edge forever is not headcanon. It's a logical observation of the episode. That's the point. Oh, thank you.
Well, that's what I was saying. She proved that it wasn't headcanon, right? She just made sense of
Yeah.
it.
So Hunger Boy says, no, it merely allows us to put up with her for more episodes, not redemption.
That's the truth, right? There it is.
The Comic Relief Crusader says, I see it as she understands the case made for him, however, has her own grudge to either let go or consume her storyline.
You know, would have been nice. I thought would have been a nice touch to it. Would have really helped towards her redemption arc. Is if after she revived Isaac, they would have said thank you, we really appreciate that, and she would have said, I didn't do it for me, but I did it for my friend, because my friend would have forgiven him.
Yeah.
But that's what that's how I would have ended
That would have been
it.
nice.
It would have helped her with her redemption, right? And show for once she's not caring about just herself, not thinking about just herself. She would have said, I did it not for me, but I did it for my friend because my friend would have forgiven him. I can't carry this grudge forever.
Yeah, maybe eventually she will come to that conclusion.
Yeah, you always hope, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna hope because we got a whole 9 more episodes to hope.
Yep.
So Isaac's back. She says she didn't do it for Isaac.
Of course not. What? Do something for you.
And so Dr. Finn isn't helping Charlie yet, but she is trying to help Isaac.
Helping Charlie yet? Is she on her calendar?
I guess not. I don't know.
I know, right? I don't see her out in the waiting room.
So Dr. Finn takes it upon herself to try and treat him, even though she knows biologicals better. And he explains why he did what he did. He says, I have determined that my presence aboard the Orville has, since the resolution of the Earth conflict, been largely detrimental to the operation of this vessel. This has no doubt reduced the efficiency by a significant percentage. My deactivation was intended to restore maximum operational output aboard the Orville. And that sort of jives with what you were saying, that Charlie's actions are dangerous to the crew, and Isaac sees that, and he wants her to stop behaving that way. So he does what he does.
Her actions drove someone to suicide directly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about her involvement.
Yeah, right? and Marcus.
They
Marcus
like to brush
only,
over that, but it's the facts.
Yeah, and Marcus's reaction only cemented it.
Pretty much.
But
remember,
but he does. He has genuine regret over it.
Of course. Well, but he has regret because of the way he was treated, right?
Hmm.
Like anybody who had been bullied, he's saying what anybody who had been bullied would say, right?
Right. Yeah. So he denies that the emotions of the crew towards him caused any sort of feelings on his part, but he still denies that he has any emotion.
Uh, so sorry. Pepsi.
Now, I didn't think of this. Hungry Boy here in the chat actually mentioned this to me. He said that he saw Spock's journey of acceptance here in Isaac, who is also often denied having emotions, especially in the motion picture. But of course, there's no doubt that all Vulcans have extraordinarily strong emotions that they suppress. But Isaac, however, it's more vague. Isaac is able to hide behind his machinery and programming in order to tell us that no, of course he doesn't have emotions.
Right, but I think it's a slow learning process. Like I said, I think he's evolving, and he can't really. The question is he a liar? Is he intentionally holding things back from them? I don't know. I think he's explaining to them as he learns because he doesn't really understand completely, possibly, when it comes to emotions.
That's what I think too. Even though we all ascribe different emotions to him, there's no proof what he's actually feeling.
Well, we as like humans, we know what emotions are. We understand them. I can tell you if I'm feeling happy or sad, or grief or moan or melancholy. A robot would not know. They're like they would be like, "Well, I'm having a feeling, but I'm not sure what it is." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why here in the scene, I like that Dr. Finn relates to his logic, to have him see her side in her professional assertion um, that Isaac removing himself, self-deleting, has a bigger emotional damage than if he stayed aboard. Based,
Sorry, I hungry. I'm gonna blame it blame it on you from now on. It's she's officially chuckles in my head canon.
Captain Cockney Spock says, if we embrace headcanon, I reckon there's 2 Deckards, 1 human, and 1 replicant.
And one actor,
When,
3 people.
oh, right. Also Harrison Ford. Chuckles the Charmer. Hungry Boy says Chuckles would have been taken to court by the family of a suicide person if she'd driven a Homo sapien to self-delete.
Correct. Not to mention all the
Wow.
legal problems, right? There is a law against that these days.
The Comic Relief Crusader says the problem is it self-deletion? Isaac is a non-living being, a machine. We, or rather the crew, have given our emotions to him. Therefore, deactivation is more accurate.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I think the fact that he is an android and not a living person on the show is how they were able to deal with this topic. They're not going to show. I don't think they're not going to do the Orville. I know this is a dark episode for a lot of people that are fans, but I don't think they would ever
Yeah, it
go as
is.
deep as a human committing self deletion, right? So it's a way of dealing with the
Yes.
subject without being too heavy.
And that's the magic of science fiction, is that you're able to deal with the topic this dark and this difficult
Yes,
in
I
a
still
way
think.
that
Yes, go ahead.
is
Sorry.
palatable.
Yes, and I don't think it's permanent, guys. I think we're going to have more lighthearted episodes in the future.
Yeah, me too. But and I think based on the logic that her opinion of the crew's psychology is paramount, is pretty brilliant that he accepts it.
Yes, definitely.
And I don't think I'd change anything about this scene. Even better is how she continues that Isaac doesn't consider that the crew's feelings might change over time. It is a really difficult subject that this show tackled. And when I say that it handled it with thoughtfulness and grace, I am specifically referencing this scene. And
You're a Kalon. Your people would like to see us all dead. But you're also a person. And you're here with us. And it's a lot harder to hate from up close.
See, that's the way of telling him, those that know you, us that know you, we don't hate you.
Yes, exactly. That's why I love this scene very much. After the whole episode was extremely difficult to watch, and that last episode really, really is pulls it all together for me.
It made you think.
It does. It made me think for 1, 2, 3. Wow, this is my longest show ever. How long have I been going?
A couple
Oh,
hours or more.
over 2 hours. Yeah, this is longer than I've ever gone before.
Honestly,
Very
I
much
hadn't
longer.
I hadn't realized until I watched this episode how much I care for the Isaac character. You know, I always liked Isaac. I thought he was all right, but I realized, man, I really do like this character.
Yeah, Isaac and Yaphet are my favorite characters. I already
I
knew
can agree
that.
with that. I'd say, yeah, I probably feel the same way.
Okay, I need to
Oh,
go for a minute.
oh, it sounds like it. Yeah,
Okay.
red
Yeah,
alert.
okay. I'll be red alert. Oh, here. Could you
Sure, I'll read them.
talk for me
Go for
for
it.
a little bit? But first,
Go for it.
can you do this? Where is it?
Red alert. All hands stand to battle stations. Main and intercept course to the Romulan ship.
Shields up. Load all torpedo bays. Stand by phasers.
Warp pack to 8. Engage.
There you go. And I'm gonna see if I can answer some of these chats I think where we left off. The Comic Relief Crusader says, "So can the captain really reprimand said crew member for not helping the turning on of a machine? If the reprimand would not be for turning on the machine per se, the reprimand would be for not following an order. It doesn't matter what the order is. It could be for opening a door, closing a door. It could be for moving a chair, firing a gun. It's following an order. That's what the commander would say. It's not your decision to decide what it is I'm telling you to do. It's an order, and you follow it no matter what I do. If not, then it's insubordination. At least in my opinion, I was in the military, and that's how I feel they probably would have dealt with it." And Doc Valiant says, "If orchids can kill themselves, I would assume a machine self-terminate." That's possible if Isaac, a regular, like a calculator, probably not, unfortunately, even though some of them deserve it. But I think that's the point. Is I think Isaac, in my opinion, I think what feelings there are, because he is a machine. I think his programming itself is slowly evolving. I think is what they're showing. He's becoming eventually aware. They may have the episode like they did with Data, where eventually is Isaac a human or a robot? Should he be treated as a human? Should he stop being treated as a machine? I'm not sure if they've dealt with that specifically in the Orville yet. If not, they probably will eventually. Especially when I think they're going to realize from a lot of feedback from this episode, I think they're going to realize how much the fans like Isaac. I think they're going to realize that Isaac is, and at least in my opinion, one of the central characters of the show. And I think he should be highlighted more. But once again, everybody, that's an opinion. Hungry for more Orville, aka Good Writing, says top shelf scripting in this scene. Yes, I completely agree. In my opinion, I've never seen a bad scene with the Doctor. I just love her, everything I've ever seen her, every scene she does. So believable. I would definitely want her to be my doctor. I probably wouldn't take my clothes off in front of her, but I want her to be my doctor. Let's see here. Comic Relief Crusader says, "Go, Jill, go." Well, she went. Good writing, however. Snorter Poopus Cuber says, "The command has been issued." The Comic Relief Crusader says, "Oops," or "Ops." The Comic Relief Crusader says, "Sorry." And Hungry for More Orville, aka Good Writing, says, "Vamp time. Let's start the Chuckles fan club at Pop Culture Curator." Hashtag Chuckles the Clown, everybody. Let's get that going. Doc Valiant says, "My kid is playing Xbox. Microsoft babysitting for me." If it was my kid, it'd be a PlayStation. But hey, we all have our favorites. Snorter Poopus Cuber says, "We know who the captain of Jill's starship is." Yeah, you know when to follow orders, right? That's what I'm talking about. You don't want to take any chances around the kids. Yesterday was his birthday, by the way, her son's birthday, and she made him fried chicken. I thought that was hilarious because when I was a kid, That was my favorite too. I'd always ask my mom for fried chicken. And the Comic Relief Crusader says, "True, I was just throwing out there for conversation's sake." And sort of poop is Q-Bird says, hashtag Chuckles the Clown. I have to explain something why that name is so funny. All right, Chuckle, the name Chuck is an alternative name for Charles or Charlie. So it actually fits, and I would have called her that in the actual script instead of Charlie. But I know that, they say make this more lighthearted, call her Chuckles. But that would be a name if you had a clown and its name was Charlie, it would be Chuckles. Chuckles cheated with Boza. Oh no. I'd hate to see what their offspring looks like, right? Anyway, as I said earlier, everybody, if you like this stream and you, aside from me being on here, if you like what you see and hear from Jill, if you enjoy the stream, please click the like button and subscribe to her channel. She's excellent. She has a lot of content. She has this Orville review here that we're doing on Tuesdays for the new season. Plus, she has Tea Time on Fridays. It's sort of like, I believe from what I can gather, it's sort of new, but I think it's like an open topic. Sometimes she'll discuss strange new worlds or other things like that. So please subscribe to her channel and click the alert button. She's always got something new going on. And also in the chat here, we have several people. I wanted to say hello again. We've had Captain Cockney Spock, the Comic Relief Crusader, Doc Valiant, both Felicianos, Raymond and Sandra. I know we've had Clobbering, or the Orville Nation was here. Let's see, did I say Doc Valiant? Hungry for more Orville, Comic Relief. Let's see. And I know Gorilla's Random Thoughts was here. Crusader, Doc Valiant. I know a lot of people, by the way, if you have a website, if you have a YouTube channel, feel free to post it in the chat. I don't know how many of you guys are wrenches. And I currently don't have the power to make you wrenches. I'm just an observer like you guys are. If any of you, by the way, I know we've been giving our review. We've been telling you what we think of this episode. If any of you have opinions, you have any contradictions, are we crazy? Are we wrong? Please feel free to put your thoughts towards the chat. And, opinions are always welcome. The wider range of opinions, the better, the more interesting. Echo chambers are no fun.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Right. So, yeah, if you have any opinions, like I said, yeah, feel free to throw them in. I know you're not on the panel, but if you're in the chat, we will read your text, your chat. Thank you. Hopefully, did you put out the fire, Jill?
Yeah, I think so for now. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how much longer she has.
All right.
And hello to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. It says, I'm still here, just ignored.
I said your name, Gorilla. I thought
yeah,
you
right.
Everybody check out Gorilla's Random Thoughts channel. Great channel.
Yes, I got you right here. I have my Stream Elements bot that can pull up.
I'm excited, Jill.
Channel.
Jill, I got my Stream Elements working too yesterday on my first.
Oh, yeah, you did? That's
yeah,
great.
Finally on my first stream. I'm happy too. Yes, like, who's me? All right.
Awesome. So I have some of them here, so I'll put them in. And I hope you all enjoyed the review for this episode. I know I really enjoyed this episode. Lack of verisimilitude for military adherentness notwithstanding, I loved it. And I'd still give it an A.
Yeah, I'm sorry if we missed any of your... What's that?
Oh, what's that?
Well, Gorilla said that my last 3 chats were missed. I apologize, Gorilla.
Oh, really? Let's see what they were.
I tried to cover it all. Sorry about that. Hopefully they're still on there.
Let's see. There was.
We didn't mean to ignore you, sir.
I got told to say one nice thing about Charlie, and my response was, "She has a nice butt." I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either. When did they show that? I must have missed the deleted scenes, I guess.
I think that's the only one we missed, actually. We read all the other ones.
Feel free to repeat them, Gorilla. If there's something we missed, put it back in there again.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. Put it in again if you really believe it. Okay, so let's see if I have Orville Nation here. I don't know. I know I have Mark, but I don't know what I have everybody under exactly. Like their actual the little code for a Stream Elements code.
Right.
But this was a really fun episode. Also a very dark episode. Also a very difficult episode. It made me furious.
It
But
definitely opened up for over 2 hours of conversation, going on 3 here, huh?
yeah.
2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah,
Yeah,
2 o'clock.
this episode doesn't even begin to talk about, you know, what the Kalon's actual motivations are in the war, which I'm sure is going to come up again later.
Right, great. I'm glad that it's open for speculation and it's a mystery, which gives us anticipation.
Hmm. And also, King Dolphin TV was here earlier in the stream. I know he has work and stuff, so he's in and out. Chris Bate was here. Pacific 411. Pacific 414. I'll be sure to get your channel next time. Let's see here. And
Nice big turnout.
if I don't post your channel, but you want your channel posted, let me know and I'll program you into my Stream Elements. And maybe eventually I'll get a rotation going. And so let's see what we got here. I'll start with Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Sub to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. He's got my favorite show that Gorilla does is on Thursday. He takes a TV or movie that is universally panned. Like a lot of people really don't like it, and he tries to defend that movie or TV show. That's fun.
Right, he wants to be in the firing line.
Mm-hmm. And also Captain Cockney Spock. He shares all of his thoughts on pop culture theories, and also just absolutely anything that he's thinking. You will find out what he's thinking. He's very, if anything, honest. And then there is the Comic Relief Crusader. And he has some really great streams. Actually, on Tuesday, so later today, usually he'll post a stream. And he has an awesome voice. And Hungry Boy says, I dread this hypothesis. Isaac will save Chuckles from some threat in a future episode.
That's a trope that is highly possible.
That is a common one, yeah. That is a
in fact,
common trope.
it may be the next one. In fact, right? You might be predicting the next episode.
Hungry Boy says,
to thank
"Bad
him.
review."
Right, and she has to thank him. He better save her, and she doesn't thank him. Right.
Hungry Boy loved the feisty debate.
Oh,
so good job, Pop Culture Curator. You did great.
Well, I'm sorry. I know, and it was. I have to say, it was the feistiest debate we've ever had. But all on good terms, everybody, right?
Oh yeah, terms. Absolutely.
Right,
I love hearing your opinions, whether I agree with them or not, and I kind of have difficulty arguing with you on many of your points here. You have this military background that tells me that what you're saying has some validity.
Right, and the reason why I say what I do is I have a lot of passion for this show because I love it. If I love something, I'll have passion. I think the biggest thing in my life is Star Trek TOS, but I would be just as critical watching those episodes as well because I love it so much. So I just don't want anybody to get the misconception thinking I hate the show, which I don't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bothering doing all this, right? I wouldn't care.
Exactly, you wouldn't be here. And Gorilla's Random Thought says, I'm laughing, was more trolling. Oh.
Especially the part about the inmates. I sorry. That slip.
No, that was a slip. That was hilarious.
It was funny. It was like right. My mind was going faster than my mouth, so I felt bad.
Your mouth was saying what your heart was thinking.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, I
sub
apologize.
also to Mark D with the C. He's the great enabler. He'll show you lots of really cool toys and stuff that you've got to have. Or if you don't want to have them, just watch Mark D with the C play with them. That's what I do. And of course, he also talks about comics and Star Trek and all the good stuff that we all love. And has a really cool show on Sundays. And also sub to Dalek451. He obviously really loves Doctor Who. And also Thomas the Tank Engine.
Absolutely, great channel. Hail
Yes,
Delic
great
451.
And sub to the Nerdporial Lifeform, who reviews just everything. He watches the episode and he reviews it that day, so he's quick on the draw there. I give him that. He's awesome.
Nice chat. You got a lot of great people here.
I do, and I'm starting as I watch their channels, I get to know them more, and that's really fun. And so Doc Valiant here says, while I was in the army, you would have any issues, at least in your annual review. You might get a council statement, and if it was serious, you'll get legal action to take pay and get extra duty.
Very possible, depending on the severity, I guess.
Yeah. And Gorilla's Random Thought says, when Lamar was in bed, I said I know people have a kink for painful sex, but he takes it to a whole new level. Yeah,
maybe
right.
maybe he likes it ribbed. Sorry.
Well, he even says that his hips were bleeding, but
Ooh, I'm glad
that
I
he's
didn't
okay.
catch that.
So also on that note, sub to King Dolphin TV, where nobody's
Yeah.
hips are bleeding.
Right, nobody's hips are bleeding there, guys.
Yeah, the water's fine, and he does lots of really great reviews on other YouTubers, other authors, pilots, and all sorts of talented people that he can find. And also, he also has some fun open topic streams as well. And Doc Valley, you're new on my stream. Do you have a channel? I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, well, not really, but I love seeing you here. Great to see you here. Tom Paris got all of the above.
I keep hearing, I'm not familiar with that show, but people have been bringing up about Tom Paris. I guess the guy wasn't treated too well. From what I've been hearing, demoted and punished or something. Gorilla was telling me that he was stripped and he lost, was demoted and reduced in rank, I guess, in an episode, even though he eventually brought it back or something like that.
Yes, he started off in Voyager as a delinquent who only became the pilot of the ship out of the necessity of the ship being thrown into the Delta Quadrant.
Right. And like I told Gorilla, that's what brought it up is I was saying, they should at least show sometimes some kind of discipline to at least show it's somewhat believable and that you could, trust people. And that's when he brought up Paris as an example. He said, well, there was one scene in Star Trek where someone was demoted. And I said, well, that's great. At least they showed it once. All right, so there, okay.
All right. So there's potential, but if you demote Charlie, where does she go? The ensign is the lowest rank, isn't it?
Well, how about this? Even if demoted, absolutely, and then she would probably be scrubbing the deck. But at a minimum, I would have her transferred to another ship where she's not around Isaac. Right? If that's the center of her mental instability is to be around him, she should never have been on the ship in the first place. So I would at least say she should not be on the ship. I mean, I would tell her that we don't think you should be here. I mean, for your good, for his. I mean, it's better for you. It's better for them. Huh? See?
Okay, Shatner. All right. Well, you know what? There's some potential in that. We'll see if they follow up on your thoughts there.
It's okay.
Gorilla's
I don't
random thought
care.
says, yeah, they probably won't. Like Sandra said earlier, they usually don't take the purely military perspective. That's why often,
Well,
even though they do kind of use the Navy as a model, they they
if you
don't
don't
they
have right, if you don't have that strict military, you would never survive in real life. That's the only
yeah,
reason why that our country exists
I
the way it
agree.
does. I'm talking about America, is because of the discipline of the military. So it's a factor that should be considered, in my opinion. But oh well, right? I know Gene Roddenberry hated it, so I will say that.
Hmm. And the other one was it didn't sound like the dog moaning, but I'll leave it at that. I guess
Oh,
I'll listen to this later and figure out what it was.
all right. Yeah, me too. Maybe it was me.
It
Maybe
could have
I don't
been
know.
it could have been my kids screaming. Who knows?
Well, Ed, just to clarify, everybody, I do not have grandma locked in the closet.
Okay. Captain Cogni Spock says, I have no filter. This is true. And it also says, Jill and Pop Culture, you both bring a different perspective, and that's what makes you guys a great broadcasting double act.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. And Hungry Boy says, Mark's supervillain name is the Toy Tempter.
Does he tempt toys?
Yeah, he has really cool toys,
He
and he
tempts them?
tempts you into buying them.
Oh, so he tempts us. Okay, gotcha. Or was he tempting the toys? That's what I was wondering. Okay, he tempts us. Gotcha.
Well, okay, maybe there's some of that too when you see him playing with them.
How do you tempt a toy? Okay. You play with it. Just
Okay,
kidding,
so
guys.
Mark says, I try, Hungry Boy, are hungry for more Orville, aka good writing. There is a new 40th anniversary con Funko Pop out now.
I know those are popular.
They are. And
Now, if they're bobbleheads, aren't they? Pretty much.
they all have sort of the same head, but like different painting.
Does the head bobble, or is it stationary? Do you
No,
know?
no, it doesn't bobble, I don't think.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
But a bigger head than body, so similar idea.
Yes.
And Hungry for More Orville says, I bet you inflict that upon Clobby. And Sorapoopa says, spiked for your pleasure.
I think he means the alien.
Yeah, right. Illyria or something like that.
All right.
If she shows up more, I'll remember her name better. Dalek451 says, of all the things you know, I enjoy you. Wait a minute. I enjoy that you had to say Thomas. It is true, though.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Oh, I know you like more stuff than that. You also like anime and other sci-fi, and you like
And
everything.
I think he made like Doctor Who too, possibly, right?
Maybe he might like Doctor Who.
Possible. Maybe check it out once.
So Mark DSC says he might have to send him one. Oh, Clobby. Clobby might be getting a con. We'll see. So Doc Vine asks, wasn't Ensign Rowe also demoted? I don't remember. Maybe. Oh, she was demoted to Ensign. So I know her as Ensign Rowe. But yeah, she was demoted at a certain point before we even met her, I think.
Who are we talking about?
Ensign Rowe from TNG.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so following the incident on Garon 2, Ro was demoted to ensign. Ostensibly, she used to be lieutenant. Uh, um, yeah, so yeah, she was demoted. It was off screen, I guess.
I'm sure somebody you has anybody ever seen clips of like soldiers or armies or something where somebody's being disciplined by the commanding officer, and the commanding officer walks up and starts ripping off all their badges and all their symbols. I'm sure you guys see. I saw that with my own eyes when I was in the military. They'll walk up and just start stripping, and even if it's ripping their clothes, they'll start tearing their bags and their badges and everything off, their rank. When you see that, that means you're being demoted, people. When you do something really, really bad.
Oh, is there Bradbury today?
Yes, there is. Yes,
Uh,
there is. Thank you.
yeah,
Oh, that's right. I'll be running a little late on that, guys. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
yeah.
I think I had it scheduled, didn't I? If not, I need to get into that.
Hello in the chat too. Clobbering times. We finished our review and we're wrapping up here. And Ava is joining me here.
Whoa. Oh. Wow. Thank you for reminding me. You're right. I hadn't even scheduled my stream yet. I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me.
So if has everybody posted in the poll here?
Hail
I got
clobbering
23
time.
votes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I would get 23 votes for this. This is great.
Very cool.
So I'll be closing the poll soon, and we'll look at that in just a minute here. So, Pop Culture Curator, I couldn't be more grateful to you for joining me here, because I know this show especially, this one especially, would not have been more as fun without you here.
Oh, thank you for your patience. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get heated there. But like I said, it's passion. And it's because
Feel free
I
to
like
get
the show
heated
so
when you
much.
need to. I like it. It's good. It's good.
Lighthearted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. As long as it's in good nature, then
right.
Do it.
Thank you, Stream Element Spot. You're like a brother to me.
So, so we want to get your subscribers back up. So everybody, please subscribe to Pop Culture Curator.
Well, thank you. I wanted to bring that up. I don't know if Orville Nation is still here or not, but I gained 2 subs from being on Orville Nation's stream a couple days ago. So I appreciate if you're there listening.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I think was Orville Nation here?
I think he stopped by at some point.
Okay, so if so, then I'll put his
words and pictures. Hello.
Even if he didn't, I'll put him in there.
Okay.
Hello to Words and Pictures. Okay, so Pop Culture Curator, what do you have going on your channel now?
Oh, I usually stream my 2 episodes of Ray Bradbury Theater today, and I got so busy I realized, well, I didn't even post a link for it. I didn't even get it up yet. So I'm talking about the stream. You're going to say that's what she said, but no, I mean, I haven't got the stream up yet. So as soon as we end this, let's see, it's okay, about 7 minutes after the hour. I'll schedule my stream for the next hour. I'll put it there because we're depending on where you are. Like for me, it's 2 p.m. Pacific, so I'm going to schedule it at 3 p.m. Pacific. So wherever you are, it's going to be about an hour from now, 52 minutes approximately. I'll schedule it. If anybody please like to join me, it'll be the next 2 episodes of Ray Bradbury Theater, and then next Monday. Yesterday I covered Lon Chaney, the makeup artist in Hollywood. And next week I'll be doing Jack Pierce, the makeup artist who created the original Universal Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, you're welcome. And Hungry Boy says, "Where's my shout out? Hungry for more Orville, aka good writing. Your shout out. Let me see. Where is your shout out? Let me find it. I don't have it here. Oh right. Okay. Oh yeah, you do post some of your art on your YouTube channel and also on Twitter, right? I love that you're on Twitter now, so I could see more of your art. Hungry for more Orville.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Words and Pictures, if it's too late for
I
you to
don't know.
watch
How
it,
do you want to? Oh, go ahead.
well, Words and Pictures, I think 11 p.m. my time, might miss it then. Hope you have fun. It's Ray Bradbury Theater is available on Amazon Prime and I believe Peacock Plus if you ever get a chance. Peacock, whatever it's called. If you ever get a chance, check it out. It is available. I highly recommend it.
Mark D with the C says, I've had the chance and I didn't watch the crap and never will. Wait, what crap? Oh, this crap right here. I haven't had a chance to
Oh,
watch Miss Marvel yet.
did it premiere?
Okay. And Clobby's saying he had a chance, but he didn't watch it.
I wouldn't.
Oh, no, I just meant in the chat, not my channel. Oh, okay. Just checking. I didn't want to
gotcha.
miss on you if you wanted to promote that. That's great. That's great to see you in the chat there, Codburn Times. But probably a notion that I've gone on so long.
Well, it wasn't boring, huh? We had something good to talk about.
Yeah, 3
Clobbering
hours.
Times, yeah, everybody. Clobbering Times also has a wonderful channel, and Clobbering Times. I love Raquel. I love her opinion. She's so level headed and honest about Star Trek. I'd love your channel. I'll be there Saturday night again.
Yes. 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 Definitely go to Clobbering Times for Saturday night Star Trek. I'll be in the chat talking about season 7, and Clobby and Raquel will be telling us about the episodes, and everybody reviews it like we're all at a convention, and we all give our opinions. And it's really
Very
fun.
cool. Yep.
And when Clobbering Times is here, it's almost like Raquel is here too. So what happens when Raquel's over here? I talk about her science fiction books, which are like Twilight Zone books, and I still mean to read them. But if you haven't, here's her little advertisement for them. And in the chat,
nice.
I'm asked about the link to her Clobby, could you post a link to Raquel's books, please? I still need to save it. If you can hear me, if not, Words and Pictures will check out her channel. Oddly enough, I have her channel link, just not her books. Oh wait, maybe I do have it here. Actually, yeah, I did save it. Here it is.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, Clobby. I found it.
Right, excellent, everybody.
Okay.
She is excellent. She's got a great opinion. Very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. And I know I'm just saving her books to read something good, so I know I'm going to read them eventually. And oh, right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope you enjoyed today's reviews. But remember, what's even better than my reviews is to go also actually watch the Orville yourself. It's really great.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for having me. Once again, it's an honor. And I think today was our best review ever. I was so excited, and it really paid off. I'm excited for next week.
Yes. Yes, and we're going to. I'm excited too. I think I agree completely, and we'll see you all next time, and I'll take us out with a preview for next week's episode, even
Cool.
as my number of viewers increases.
I hadn't seen it. Yeah, I know they're all coming in now. I know. Follow me to my channel, everybody. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Everybody go to Pop Culture Curator's channel and watch Ray Bradbury TV.
In about 45 minutes.
Yes. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you. Peace.
Shoot. Somebody reminded me. Thank you, Cobby. What were the poll results?
Yep, perfect timing. Not before it's too late. Yes, thank you.
Here, I'll post the poll results right here. Let's see. Okay, so I got 24 votes. With 24 votes, I'll end the poll. And we have 70% gave, with 24 votes, we have 70% giving the episode an A, 20% giving a B, and only 8% giving a C. So that's fantastic.
Oh, great.
That's a good results. And now for real, I'll send you guys out. For some reason, I was only able to find this trailer from Talking to Orville. So if you, for some reason, he gets the trailers first. That's pretty cool for him.
Yeah, I hadn't even seen it yet. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, right. So thank you to JP for doing that.
Very cool.
Oh, I meant to share the screen.
Ooh, no. Comic Relief Crusader. Sorry to hear that. Ugh.
A blue screen of death? Oh, no.
Yeah, that's why I'm the PlayStation owner rather than over at Xbox. Yeah.
There. Now you can see the poll results.
Is there a way to show the poll? Is that what you're... Is that...
Oh, yeah. I never showed it, so I'm just showing it now.
Well, I know I saw it when I first came on, but I guess it's hidden after you vote.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Poll complete. 24 votes. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, at least nobody gave it a D or below, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Clabby, for reminding me. I always forget to show the poll. so I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Take us in.
Entering haunted house.
Ooh.